Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are brought to you by the new Zen Sports Sportsbook with cash rewards and the easiest, simplest betting experience possible. Betting just got better. Download the Zen Sports Sportsbook app today. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studio, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. Willy D, Derek Mason, happy Monday. How we doing?
Happy Monday. I'm doing great, man. Put my feet on the ground this morning. I'm here. So
all
I'm
you can
doing
ask
great.
for.
Absolutely.
It's great. We're on the road here in Vermont. Great to have a show out here. Did you guys feel that? It's like in the 60s outside.
It's
What is going on?
It is
Oh,
freezing.
man.
Is this
it's
June
cold.
in Nashville? What
It's
am I
not. It's not summertime yet. So
It's not summer
yeah,
yet. You're right.
technically it's not
Technically
summertime.
Still spring
not
weather.
Me and my
summertime.
son was trying to figure that out. Was it yesterday? Yeah. And he said, "Is it summertime yet?" Because the temperature had dropped a little yesterday because it was raining. And then I was like, I don't know. I think it is. Maybe it's like, no, it's not summertime yet. So he looked it up. It's like, yeah, it doesn't start till June 20th, 23rd, somewhere around
We've
there.
got plenty of time
Yeah,
for
so
it
you
to
got-
heat up.
Yeah, absolutely, Willy.
Enjoy winter time, everybody, on
Oh,
June
man, I'm
12th.
loving it. I love this weather.
I hate it. Need to be hotter.
It needs to be hot, needs to be humid,
Exactly.
getting 90 degrees with 100% humidity. Staff member Nick is here as well. Nick, how we doing?
staff members doing great. Derek and I had a good time Friday night, and
Yes.
yeah, good weekend. Another wedding under the books for me. So I think everyone else can put their wagers on Caroline and I for the rest of the summer. I'd like to hear what Willy and Derek think about that this summer, maybe.
Do you have another one?
I have an engagement party this weekend. So not a wedding,
Okay.
but a pregame to a
A
wedding.
pregame. As of now, you don't have a wedding. Something can pop up now.
You never know.
Yeah,
You never say never.
I think people just send like wedding invitations to your house, like
Like,
they don't
she'll
even know
probably
you.
be there.
They don't even know you.
Yeah,
They just,
it's like how people send their
Yeah, Caroline
extra wedding
Fenton.
invitations,
Yeah.
like to the White House, or send it to Beyonce. They just send it to me, just for S's and G's.
exactly.
But let's get into it because the big news of the weekend, DeAndre Hopkins is in Nashville. Saw on his Instagram story, he posted getting picked up in a very bougie little Sprinter van. A tricked out Sprinter van was in Nashville. He also posted an Instagram story at CMA Fest last night. He saw Tim McGraw. So DeAndre Hopkins taking his official visit to the Tennessee Titans. Got to Nashville yesterday. He's headed to New England next. Maybe because we have some developments, potential developments in the DeAndre Hopkins saga. Bill Belichick, of course, head coach of New England Patriots, was asked about DeAndre Hopkins' visit to New England. This is what Bill Belichick had to say.
Andre Hopkins in tomorrow. Is that accurate?
I don't know about that. Talk to him. I'm working through it. I'm not sure.
Okay. So when asked about the visit, I don't know about that. I talked to him.
He doesn't know
We're
about
working
that?
through it.
Yeah.
What do we make
Yeah,
of it?
Whatever, Bill.
Bill being Bill.
Bill's being Bill. He's denying DeAndre Hopkins is even visiting.
That's just Bill.
He doesn't know. Oh, he doesn't know.
Yeah, he
He's-
doesn't
yeah,
know.
he's-
Even though
He's the
he's sort of
coach.
like the
He's the
coach
last
GM.
to know.
Yeah. He doesn't keep track.
Yeah. He's
He
worried
doesn't
about
know.
the guys that are in the building now, not the guys that are potentially coming.
Even though
He's got no say.
supposed to host
He
it.
has no say in the decision.
Even though he's the general manager and the coach.
Exactly. He still has no
doesn't
say. No, he don't know. They don't inform him of anything.
He doesn't know.
He's the last to know in that organization.
He has to sign
Inflated
in.
footballs. He doesn't know.
He is simply just a small part
Walk
of that
through,
organization.
film the walkthrough. He didn't know anything about
Nah,
that.
he didn't know anything
know.
about the special teams coach going a couple of hours over the limit.
No, he didn't know
This,
about that.
last month.
Yeah.
He didn't know about that.
He didn't
at
know
all.
about any sort of spying.
Violations. No, he doesn't know about that stuff. So why in the hell would he know about DeAndre Hopkins coming to New England to visit?
It may not be about knowing if about the visit.
Uh-huh.
It could be he doesn't know if he is going to visit because they have a visit planned. but he doesn't know what's going to come next. Could that mean that things went so well in Nashville that DeAndre Hopkins put pen to paper?
No, not at all. But he understands.
Not at all?
Yeah, he understands players and he understands situations. And he's like, listen, I don't know. He's more than like, he's scheduled. We want him to come. He's scheduled to come, but you never know. He may not get out of Nashville. Or he may choose to go, I don't know, Cleveland somewhere. And somebody may offer him a contract. So, I can understand what he's saying. The question should have been asked a little bit differently. Then the answer probably would have come out. Because basically he did answer it, honestly, because you never know when a guy go on a first visit, they may end up signing with the team. So he's like, I don't know. I've talked to him. I don't know. Because he understands that D-Hop just may sign with the Titans and not make it to New England. So I get his answer.
I mean, I'm planning on going home after the show, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I might stop and get something to eat.
Yeah, you could.
I might get a phone call and say, you got to go over here. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you did make plans on leaving here to go home.
That's my plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think their plan is to have DeAndre Hopkins there.
Yeah. But anything can happen.
He could announce that he's going to any number of places. He's going to go and play in a brand new NFL Europe, or I don't know. I mean, anything could happen.
It just depends.
I think Bill knows, though.
Yeah.
I think
Bill knows.
Whatever it is, Bill knows.
Well, I mean.
So do we not think that has anything to do related to
No.
the Titans?
No, I don't think it has
Absolutely
anything.
nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with the Titans. It's just he understands, how this game works, and when you, because I'm sure if he had went to New England first and you asked Vrabel that same question, Vrabel would answer it in sort of that same way.
Then that's the hard thing for me to definitively decide how I feel, is because with Bill Belichick, I can't believe a single word that comes out of his mouth.
Of course not.
He doesn't want to answer any question at all. He is going to give you as little information as possible. But with that being said, we don't know any information about DeAndre Hopkins. If we find out any information about how D-Hop's visit with the Titans, of course we'll be the first ones to inform you of it. But if DeAndre Hopkins does leave Nashville and heads to New England for his visit that apparently Bill Belichick knows nothing about, do we think that's a good sign, a bad sign, indifferent? What do we make if DeAndre Hopkins does leave Nashville without signing a contract?
Well, I guess we can assume or speculate that, okay, if he does leave, he's not coming back, because we want to believe that there was a contract offer, not necessarily to him, but to his representative, because they're not going to sit there and say, hey, listen, this is what we want to give you. No, they're going to talk to his representative, and as they're touring the build and as they're doing whatever, they're going to talk to the representatives and say, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is what we can, give your client. And, if he does leave out, we can only assume that the contract wasn't to his liking, because what we're hearing is he wants somewhere in that OBJ range, being paid, what is it, $15 million, $16 million?
Now, if they offered him that,
I think he would stay. If they offered him that, I think he would stay.
But I wouldn't be happy about that. I hope that they didn't offer him that. That's a bad deal. That is a bad deal that the Ravens signed him to.
Well,
It's
it
not
looks like a
smart
bad deal
at
right
all.
now. Because technically, really, it's only a 1-year deal. With OBJ and the Ravens, and if it works out,
yes, but it's going to cost them for the next few years. They're going to spread that money out,
of course.
And so if it bombs, which it could,
you're right.
Then you're going to be paying for that for about 4 years.
But it's not going to be it's not in a sense going to handicap your ball club just because you wrote OBJ that check. It's not going to handicap your ball club. Now, people may be upset, fans may be upset you wasted the money and it didn't work out, but it's not going to handicap you as a organization. I think
don't
the
have to
same
give up
thing-
the picks.
Exactly.
So
I think
that's
the
not gonna
same
hurt
thing
you
with the
down the line.
Titans.
But the
If they
Ravens
do,
are trying to win, so I understand that.
They're in a different
the
different
Titans
position.
are in a different spot. They're kind of in between this. We'd kind of like to win.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give it a run. Hey, we got Tannehill, we got Henry, we got Byard. We want to give it a run, but we're also cognizant of the fact that these guys are getting up there in age, and in another year or two, we need to have more draft capital than we have. We need to make smart decisions with our cap. We need cap space to do this, and so you're doubling down if you go that high, that type of deal. That's not a smart deal. So if that's what it takes to sign him, I'm passing. That's me. I know we're all excited right now because he came to Nashville and everything. If they sign him to that deal, it's a bad deal.
Well, it all depends on how they structure the contract. If they're pushing money out, then I think it's feasible for them to do it. Now, you got to ask yourself this, okay? As the current Titan team sit right now, I believe they're going to win. They're going to win their share of games. I think, 7, 8, somewhere around there, maybe 9. But it's going to
7. Oof.
It's going to be those close games that a guy like D-Hop can push you over the edge. The close games, the 1 3-point games, the 6-point games that you've been in for the last 2 years. 2 years ago, you were able to win those close games, and I remember. Willy brought up
that was the stat.
The stat, yeah. And they said this year it was going to be different. They were not going to win those close games. And what happened?
Well,
they didn't win those
through
close
10 games, they were.
They
And
were, but then the
they
wheels
lost all
fall off,
Yeah.
and they couldn't win those close games.
Even
So
that
in their
Chiefs
mind,
game was close. They lost
Yeah.
that game.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bengals game was close. Chargers game was close.
Yeah, so
Raiders game was close. Giants game was
D-Hop,
close.
it might tilt the scale a little bit for them in their minds in regards to the close games.
And in general, the games are close in the NFL. There are no. That's why you don't see 28-point spreads like you do in college.
Right, like this
in
is not
NFL games.
Alabama Mercer.
It's a salary cap. So there are tons of one-score games. And the Titans were winning way more than the average team in those games for a couple of years. And there were a lot of people saying that's going to come back around. It's going to come. And I think injuries were the biggest reason why it did come back around. But that's the tantalizing thing about you evaluate your roster, because you're sitting there going, hey, if you had D-Hop, this team's looking pretty good. You can talk yourself into that very easily. But at the same time, it is smart to have a balanced thinking, and you have to try to decide, what is he worth? Not what he wants, but what is he worth at this stage of his career? There's risk involved, I get it. And you got to, scared money can't win, all of this stuff. But you can't get too caught up in overpaying for where you are right now. Because like you said, they're all right. They're going to be okay. They're going to be in this mix. But, you could also make the argument you can win 7 with him and you can win 7 without him. Like, I don't know we're not sure that he's still the D-Hop that we remember from 2 or 3. He's a couple years removed from that. That's always a dangerous game to play with a guy his age.
I also don't know how much the Titans need him to be the D-Hop that he was 3, 4, 5 years ago. I heard Corey Curtis on with Robbie and Rexford this morning. He said if he's 85% of what he was, I'll take that. And I would probably agree. Because
absolutely, but at what price has to be part of that conversation.
And that's
right?
a very fair question that you bring up, is the price. Because Pat Kerwin, NFL Sirius XM radio, talked about the price for the Titans and how that might differ from the price for everybody else. And I completely disagree. But I want to get your thoughts on it and our callers and texters' thoughts on that as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. DeAndre Hopkins in Nashville for his visit. We'll keep everyone updated with any updates that may come out. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063.
Checkered flag is in the air.
There's a lot on the quarterback.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
What does this group of players need more? The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Willy Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report is in, and the Pella Windows and Doors brand is #1 for the most trusted, most often recommended by others, and highest quality. Nashville area homeowners are very lucky because Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of the top locations in the country. They provide award-winning excellence when it comes to craftsmanship and installation. If you need new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts for dads and grads. Featuring the tailor-made Stealth 2 drivers. The Stealth 2 drivers combine 60 layers of carbon for more speed and longer distance to unlock forgiveness. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. There's always gift cards for dads and grads in any amount. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us in-store or online at EdwinWattsGolfShops.com.
All right, let's talk about F&M Bank. It's a brand new segment on our show, Take It to the Bank on Fridays. Caroline came in with a lot of pep in her step on Monday because she got her prediction, Take It to the Bank. Mine flopped. Not going to talk about that today. We'll have another chance on Friday. But let me tell you, we've talked a lot about F&M Bank. There's a lot of great things going on over there. F&M Bank is growing really fast. They now have 20 locations all across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. So depending on when you're listening here, you're near an FM Bank location. And when you think about your financial needs these days, chances are they're ever-changing. F&M Bank and their team are making sure those transitions are easy. That's their whole motto. Whether you're shopping for a high-yield CD, maybe a small business loan, home equity line of credit, these decisions shouldn't be complicated. That's the motto of F&M Bank. Think about a true community bank, serving as a financial partner and making your financial goals easy to reach. It's time to stop by one of the 20 convenient locations. Midtown Nashville, downtown Franklin, 6 in Clarksville, a new branch up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Chances are there's one located right near you. So tell them I sent you. Visit myfmbank.com. That's myfmbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Get a great deal on one of the most versatile tractors in the industry, the Kubota BX, which is part of Kubota's tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Stop by Krebs Kubota today and bring home select BX series equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800. Now through June 30th, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online at KrebsKubota.com.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game. Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We'll see what they want to pay him because it doesn't appear that if you're going ring shopping, Tennessee is the spot to go get a ring. Super Bowl ring. Obviously, as we know, Nash Vegas is the bachelorette party capital of the world. So rings have already been brought.
True.
You know.
Broadway.
I'm talking about Super Bowl rings.
And you're saying Tennessee is the place to go?
It is not the place to go shopping for a Super Bowl ring. I must have
misheard you.
No, that is not the place you want to go ring shopping.
That was Rich Eisen last week. Tennessee is not the place to go ring shopping. If a Super Bowl is what you want, then the Tennessee Titans are probably not your best destination. And for the most part, I would agree that if DeAndre Hopkins or any other free agent on the market is looking to win a Super Bowl, that is priority #1, you'd probably go to the Bills or the Chiefs or the Eagles or the Niners, the same teams that have kind of always been in the forefront of the conversation when we're talking about free agency. But as far as DeAndre Hopkins is concerned, I don't think that's his number one priority. Because there was an offer on the table from the Kansas City Chiefs for $3 million, and he didn't want that. Because DeAndre Hopkins told Brooks Kubina of the Houston Chronicle, yeah, I'd be open to coming back to Houston. Well, if you're open to going back to Houston, then a Super Bowl probably is not your number one priority.
First of all, I have been ring shopping in Nashville before.
Have
There's
you?
a great chance. I bought the engagement ring. This was back in 1997, early 97.
Yeah, you better remember it.
I think. Well, we got married in 97. So it was either it was the 96-97 season in basketball.
Yeah.
So I think it might have been January of 97. I got to have to go back and look. But I had a great experience ring shopping in Nashville. So DeAndre ought to think about that. There's a lot of... But
a lot of great places to go ring
look,
shopping.
he knows he's not going to get any money from the ring teams, okay? He's not going to get any money from those teams. They're trying to win. They don't have that much cap space. That's not how the NFL works. The cap is real. Jared, are you listening? When you're trying to win, you don't have room to pay $15 million to a wide receiver. I think he's trying to probe the other end of the spectrum. How much are the other teams offering that might not be in that position? How much? So what's the balance? And then he makes his decision. That's sound shopping, right? Whether you're shopping for rings or paychecks or anything else, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's I don't think it's necessarily the money per se. Meaning, and I say that because of this. It's Kansas City reportedly wanted to pay him $3 million. Okay, now we don't know if that was
Which is
incentives,
let's be real. That's
incentives or whatnot.
not a good deal.
But here's the deal: when you've been making, and I'm just throwing names and numbers out there, when you've been making $17 million for the last 4 or 5 years, and somebody offers you $3 million, you're just not going to jump on it. You're not.
Exactly.
But if winning a Super Bowl was your number one priority, it is ring or bust, you would take it.
But no, players are not.
That's not how he's wired.
He's not wired like that. If they offered him 7 with incentives, I guarantee you he would have been in Kansas City. Or if the money was just a tad bit more than, say if it was $8 million, say we give you $7 million a sign and $1 million, base salary, but you can get incentives all the way up to 11 or 12, somewhere around there, probably more. I think he's more inclined to sign that. But if I've been making $17 million for the last 4 or 5 years, been making roughly $10 million over the course of my year, just on average, and then you offer me basically $3 million, and I'm taking home maybe $1.8 million of that, somewhere around there, that's peanuts. That's like you just want me to pay for free. You're taking advantage of the system in a sense that Arizona wants to get rid of me. You want to take me, but you want to redo the whole contract. Or when I get released, maybe there's not a lot of teams. So you want me to take this lowball contract and thinking because I do want to win a Super Bowl and you know that I'm just going to take it and run with it. No, he wants to get more fillers out there. He might end up doubling back to Kansas City. Kansas City might up their price just a little bit more because there's a little bit more teams out there. There's more teams out there now than there was when you offered them $3 million. So if Kansas City wanted them or Buffalo wanted them, now they're thinking, okay, I know we offered them 3 because there was nobody out there. Now there seem to be 2, 3, 4 teams out there. Let's go up to 6 with some incentives. He may be more inclined to listen to you now than you offering me $3 million. That's just, you're basically just, spitting in his face in a sense. $3 million is a lot of money. But what I'm saying
compared
is
to what he's
been making his whole career, and he still believes he can play.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's how wide receiver, that's how professional players who have excelled always think.
Exactly.
Right? We talked about Jerry Rice when he was 42. He's like, throw me the ball, man. I can still get it done.
Coach.
Yeah.
He's 45, 46 years. He still thinks he can do it. I mean, that's just how that's how great competitors are wired, especially wide receivers. The Herm Edwards, it's 7-11. You're always open
all the time.
I know he still thinks he can, and he's got to be burning, like we talked Friday, that OBJ got
of course.
what he got. He's
not
better than
mad
that
at
guy.
OBJ, but he's
no,
like,
but he's
man,
like, I'm
he's
better
got
than
that.
him.
I
I got more to
than
offer
that.
than him. So it's hard to see. $3 million. I can see him saying that. So, but that is the market. Now, the good news for him is he's the only guy out there of his level, right?
Yeah.
Or at least potentially his level. So he can wait. He can wait. It's not like these other doors are going to close. The offer is probably going to be sitting there, and then he's going to have his choice, whatever he wants.
So, D-Mase, you're saying, let's say, we heard Charles Robinson say last week that he's looking for an OBJ-esque contract, $15 million with incentives up to 18, potentially 20. You're saying that he would take a hometown discount to an extent to play for a Super Bowl caliber team.
Exactly, but it can't be sort of a disrespectful.
I hear you. I totally hear you.
Here's $1 million, $2 million. Even though that is a lot of money, you can get that to me. I'll take it.
But Pat Kerwin, a SiriusXM NFL radio, alluded to kind of the opposite as far as the Titans are concerned, and that's not something that I have any interest in the Titans doing. This was Pat Kerwin.
He got a shot at this. No one thought Deshaun Watson was going to Cleveland. But when the money wasn't where he wanted it and Cleveland jumped back in with the money, maybe that's who you guys are, and maybe you're going to be the best offer. He's not coming for free, and he's going to be with you. He probably will demand more, just like Watson demanded more from Cleveland. So I think it's worth a shot to go after him, but I would not bet that he's going to go there.
And by there, he means Tennessee.
Yeah.
And basically, my interpretation of that is Pat Kerwin is saying that the Tennessee Titans are going to have to overpay for DeAndre Hopkins because they're not viewed as a Super Bowl caliber team. They basically have to overcompensate for what they do on the field with how much they pay DeAndre Hopkins. And that's what I have no interest in the Titans doing, is overpaying for him. Because Pat Kerwin references Deshaun Watson. How Cleveland basically had to give Deshaun Watson an offer that he couldn't refuse to go to Cleveland. Deshaun didn't want to go to Cleveland, but they gave him the best offer, so he said, okay, great, let's go Browns. If you're going to give me a fully guaranteed contract, then I'm in. But I think the difference between Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins is that there were several teams that were very active and very competitive in the Deshaun Watson market. I mean, the Falcons were so in on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes that they pissed off Matt Ryan that he left and went to Indianapolis. The New Orleans Saints were in on Deshaun Watson. The Seattle Seahawks were in on Deshaun Watson. So much so that the Browns had no choice but to overpay for Deshaun. I don't see the DeAndre Hopkins market being as competitive, even nearly as competitive for DeAndre Hopkins than it was for Deshaun Watson. So I don't think that the Titans have to quote unquote overcompensate for anything.
Well, that you can't to even bring the Deshaun Watson contract into this sort of atmosphere is wrong because he's a quarterback. This is a receiver. You're talking about a team in the Browns that were desperate. They were desperate. They were desperate just to be relevant again. They needed a quarterback. They needed that one essential piece to get everything started. So they were willing to overpay. They're not going to overpay, and no one's going to overpay for DeAndre Hopkins. They're just not going to do that. Because of where he's at in his career, because the Titans, they don't seem that desperate. Now, they could be behind closed doors, but they haven't given off that sort of aura of desperateness. Like, we got to have him. We need to sign him by all means necessary.
Right.
But here's the thing that I think they or everyone needs to be cautious about. It has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing to do with whether the Tennessee Titans are able to win or not. It has nothing to do with any of that. I'll tell you later.
All right, we'll get into that coming up next.
Let's do a little tease gauntlet down.
And nobody really thought about this, but people need to think.
I am intrigued.
We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The NFL offseason is in full swing, but you'll never miss any of the big news. thanks to Yahoo's Charles Robinson.
They know that there's a chance that they're going to have to deal this guy.
He's one of the best insiders there is.
All of a sudden, he becomes a functional player who we thought was just trash.
Join Charles Robinson every Thursday morning at 8 on Robbie and Rex Road, presented by the NFL Alumni Association on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When Smashville wants to rock. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looking to the sky, saving, looking for a sign of life, 'cause it's too cold for you here. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Hey folks, Joe Rugg Show here, letting you know about PhD Weight Loss, doctor and dietitian developed, individually delivered for me. 4 weeks, down 14 pounds. I feel great. I'm loving the food items they provide. I'm using no pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants. This feels good and it feels sustainable, and that's the point. It's a huge thing for people who want to lose weight. You want to keep it off. That is the priority here. I mentioned some of those products. My favorites: the peanut butter chocolate cereal, the pancakes, the broccoli cheddar soup, and the protein bars. A variety of flavors are absolutely delicious. This is simple and easy. It involves weekly phone discussions with a coach. 85% of that food is provided. No cravings, no crap, no problem, but there is a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Check them out. Visit PhD at myphdweightloss.com. Again, myphdweightloss.com.
At SimpliSafe, we know during a break-in, every second counts. So our home security system is powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology, only from SimpliSafe, to capture video evidence and verify a threat for fast police response. Now, install SimpliSafe your way. Do it yourself or have an expert set it up for you with new Pro Install. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
WORK, Work News Radio.
Next up, incidents of pressing all the elevator buttons unexpectedly spike on Bring Your Kid to Work Day. But first, the latest on a team lunch that wasn't ordered through Easy Cater.
I'm in the break room where lunch that was previously announced on the way has now been downgraded to hopefully soon.
Fingers crossed, Michelle. Fingers crossed.
Newsflash, it's hard when the food is late, but at EasyCater, we make hard easy. With food for work delivered on time and is ordered from over 100,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Hey, Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
You can let your mind wander on that, and then, I mean, some people would say, well, gosh, if all he cares about is the paycheck or whatever, that doesn't really bother me. But anything like, what's your biggest red flag?
I don't know DeAndre Hopkins. I've never really covered him, never really talked to him on a day-to-day basis. But guys who don't practice that much concern me. And, how much do they separate themselves from the team? How much do they want to be out there? I mean, that doesn't take away from his production in games. It hasn't in his career. But that always is kind of like a precursor of could there be trouble ahead in just the whole team operation. And that statement could be way off base. I don't know. I just know that as we read practice reports throughout the week, there's two guys who I could count on who probably were going to be practicing, and they were DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones.
That was News 2's Corey Curtis on with Robbie and Rex Road this morning. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And it's a fair question to ask about some of the concerns about DeAndre Hopkins. How concerning are they really? He doesn't practice. Maybe the culture in the locker room. But D-Mase, you alluded to something that maybe we aren't talking about enough, something that you think is impactful.
Yeah, I think we just need to pay attention to it. I'm not saying that, our team's really looking at it from that standpoint or not, but I think we need to really pay attention to it. 2 years ago, he ended up getting hurt. was it a knee or a foot that he had, and end up missing a part of the season. Then obviously you rehab and all this other stuff, and you're doing everything necessary to get yourself back. But then you get popped for PEDs.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. Now, they never said what those PEDs were, but you got tested and it came up in your system. Now, the speculation about him is he can't run anymore. Well, B-Hop's never been a burner anyway, but the dude is just a flat-out baller. But that was never one of his strengths, like speed. So if you say he can't run now, I mean, he really couldn't run then either. But he has the best hands in the National Football
League. Got extendo arms.
Exactly.
And sticky
He's
hands.
just everything else he does exceptionally well. But when you have an injury and you start to get later in your years, and then you get popped for PEDs, that's a red flag for me. Because to me, once that's telling me you're doing something to get that edge, because you know in your mind you're losing it. So you got to do all these other things to try to get that edge back. This sport is getting younger, you're getting older, you're getting slower. So a guy that's not worried about that, don't test positive for PEDs. Again, I don't know exactly what they were, but he got suspended for 6 games. And then he came back, and you saw he just couldn't run. He still can catch everything, but he can't run.
His efficiency numbers were down.
Exactly. That, to me, that's a red flag. It is. Because now he has to be careful what he put in his body. And just like, and again, going to Taylor Lewan. When he got popped for excuse me. Let me retract it. When he got popped for PEDs and he got suspended, we don't know what it was. I don't know what it was.
Right.
No one ever said what it was. But there was a decline in his play after that. For whatever reason, I don't know. But there was a decline in his play. Now, we can blame it on the knee, too. Obviously, yes.
All factors.
But why did all of that start to occur? Because he started getting hurt a little bit too often, beat up. D-Hop is the same way. So that's a caution for me. Like, do I really want to sign him? Because, one, if he get popped again, he's gone for the year.
Yeah. He is
and
gone.
Then, two, is he going to be anything near what he was the previous season? The season that he got popped and had to miss 6 games.
He tore his MCL in the 2021 season. And that is look, we're just
going about a timeline.
We're looking at a timeline, and the next year is when he got nailed for the PED.
Exactly.
The beginning of the 22 season.
Exactly.
This is the other thing that I'm really surprised. I guess we just get excited at this time of the year. This would be an interesting story. It would be very intriguing to see how it would play out. But I'm really surprised after what happened with Julio Jones, and he had the reputation. He had been injured. He wasn't practicing. He was about the same age. That's not more of a 50-50 kind of thing with it. It's kind of like, all right, they might get D-Hop. Are we forgetting what happened? Like, you're making a great point. Once you get to that stage in your career, it gets harder and harder and harder to stay healthy. And when you start going down the road, if the injuries pile up, it's not like just magically your body can recover as easily.
Well,
it gets tougher. And he would not be the first
Absolutely
who tried to use maybe some things you shouldn't use to stay on top.
But I think
if that's what happened, we don't know.
Well, he got popped for something.
He got nailed. He got nailed.
He missed 6 games. He got suspended.
Well, who was the guy on the Colts who famously said, my wife and I I need to take fertility drugs because
who was that?
Mathis was that who it was? It was a pass rusher for the Colts. I mean, you can make up anything you want as to I got caught because, and it doesn't matter. The league's like, hey, this is in your system.
For putting
That's it.
things in your body.
You can't say I just went out to the mall and went to the health food store and I just happened to be in there. I didn't know how I got it. It doesn't fly.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I mean, if you look at it, I think people are looking at the name D-Hop and what he has done, and I respect everything that he's done, and he's a Hall of Famer to me. Regard if his career ended right now, the kid is just a young man is just a baller, or he was a baller. Like, but we got to take off D-Hop. We just got to remove the name. You got to remove the name and just look at what he's done the last 2 years, and then getting popped for the PED. You had an injury with the MCL. You got to take all of that into factor.
I think
it
that's
may
great.
be fun.
All right, so let's do that.
D-Hop is coming. D-Hop is, but you got to really look into this.
You can take all of it into consideration and still look at what he was able to do in about half a season. This
Exactly,
past year,
and that was my argument.
He did more
Yeah.
than any other
But, okay.
Titans receiver on this roster.
But
Yes.
let's come back to this. Let's play the game. Okay, I'm going to give you Football Outsiders. Okay, you guys, you can determine if Football Outsiders is out in left field, or they may. You could say that. All right, but I will give you the Football Outsiders numbers on Hopkins compared to some of the other guys on the statement of, hey, he had 717 yards. Yes, and that would have led the Titans in receiving. Yes. But if you're looking deeper into the numbers, the analytics, I will give you Football Outsiders' interpretation of what he did, and then you guys determine if there's any stock in this or not.
But that was my argument that, because we talked about this, last week or the week before that, and my argument was, well, he had 700 yards, just think had he played, so I know where you're coming from.
Right.
I get that.
Yes. Yeah, we all do that. Like, we play fantasy football. It ain't about efficiency. It's about how many passes did you catch, how many yards did you get. But analytics, the more years go by, people look at this stuff, right? And they should look at this stuff.
Well, let's get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robbie and Rexroad.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options. He say, she say. And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Start your savings journey now. A strong savings strategy creates financial stability, leading to more opportunity for you and the people who count on you. At F&M Bank, their savings accounts help you save easily, plan for expenses, and prepare for whatever comes your way. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, or go online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down. You do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book.
Let's tell you once again about Loan Pronto. Are you drowning in credit card debt or any kind of bills that are piling up on you and you're trying to get ahead of it? Well, if you need to get cash out of your home's equity, Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. They're getting even faster than I've been telling you. It's really a streamlined process here. Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, whatever the number you need based on your home's value. You can get it in as little as 5 days, and then you can attack those financial needs that you have. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. That's key. Now, just get the money you need, pay off those bills, get that home improvement project started if that's what you need. And with this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. So, call Loan Pronto and get your financial strategy going. This is even faster. The Equity Express line, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Richmar Florist is family-owned and operated since 1955 and one of the top 100 florist companies in the country, providing their customers with quality flowers sourced from around the world and handcrafted floral arrangements. Richmar Florist is a proud sponsor of NASCAR and the Nashville Superspeedway, proudly serving the stars of NASCAR, IndyCar, and Hollywood, such as Elton John, Ozzy Osbourne, Alexander Rossi, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and many more. Learn more at richmarflorist.com. Richmar Florist, Pennsylvania-based, Tennessee strong.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the need.
For free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by the store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give their sales team a call. They're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland Tractor, bush hog, and more.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You said you'd keep us updated on any possibilities of adding personnel. There's a report from the NFL Network that DeAndre Hopkins is going to visit on Sunday. Is that accurate? And you're looking forward to making a pitch to him?
Yeah, well, the first thing is we want players that want to be here. And I think we want people that want to be here, and then we'll work through anything else. And so, we brought in a bunch of different players. DeAndre will be somebody that we'll bring in next week, early next week, at the end of this week, and go through the same visit that we go through with everybody, and then start the process.
With a visit like that, what can you pull from that visit? I mean, is it a recruiting opportunity, or how does that benefit you?
I'm past the recruiting. I did that in college. I think that, again, would really just want people that want to be here. And then if that works out, then you go on to the next step. So this will be pretty much it until we, either sign or don't sign the next player.
He's got a reputation, Mike, for not
this will be, again, if that's what you're going to ask your question about today, Paul, I'm going to give you another opportunity, but I'm going to talk about the players that are here. And when DeAndre's here, I'll visit with him, and then we'll move on when we make any other transactions from there.
That was Mike Vrabel last week at Titans minicamp. And I think that the Titans... What?
First of all, that just cracks me up. The dynamic between Vrabel and Koharski and some of the others.
And how he refuses to answer any Paul question.
And it was Paul, whatever, it didn't even matter what Paul was saying. Up. That's it. Not talking anymore. Paul, enough.
And when Paul asked him about Christian Fulton, you've asked enough questions for the day. I love it. I love it. I know Paul doesn't love it very much. But look, D-Mase, I almost called you D-Hop. D-Mase, you bring up a very, very fair point about D-Hop of the PEDs and the injuries and not going to practice and missing games over the last couple of years. And I get it. I hear it. I still want DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
Because I can't even exaggerate how many ways he could make this team better.
All right.
But
I'm challenged. I'm going to challenge you on this.
Okay.
And you tell me how you feel after you hear this. Because D-Mase said something very important. And that is, You have to look at what you are getting now and not what you're getting with the full arc of his career, right? He is a star. Julio Jones was a star. They didn't get that Julio Jones.
But I think that this situation is different.
Okay,
than Julio
then
Jones.
listen to these numbers and you
Okay.
tell me. Got nailed for PEDs. After that, he had 717 yards.
Yep.
But efficiency-wise, okay, this is Football Outsiders. Value over average. He ranked 71st among all qualified receivers. There were 85 qualified receivers, and that means receivers that were thrown at least 50 passes. These are wide receivers, not tight ends, not running backs.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, 71st out of 85.
What does value over average mean?
Well, average would be 0. That's what you get. The average receiver is 0.
Okay.
Okay. He was 11% plus below average. And it goes into everything that you do. You know, how many passes are you thrown? How many catches do you make? How many yards for those catches? They put when do those catches happen? How many drops? All of those things. Now, you might sit there and say, look, man, Arizona was a train wreck. And that's true. Kyler Murray was a mess. Kyler Murray got hurt. And then, so DeAndre Hopkins.
Kingsbury got fired.
We have a lot of reasons to say, well, maybe there's more to it than just he's not the same guy since coming back from PEDs. 71st. Now, last year, Nick Westbrook-Akine, 61st in value over average.
That's all I need to know.
Traylon Burks.
That is all
Traylon
that
Burks,
I need to
56. Chris Moore, who now the Titans have, 62nd. So I'm just giving you perspective on this. Now, DeAndre Hopkins, you're saying, well, these numbers just don't tell me who DeAndre Hopkins is. Well, let's look at before he hurt his knee. 2021, 19th. 2020, 19th. 2019, 17th. 2018, 2nd. 2017, 4. Same metrics, same type of numbers. And he goes all the way down to 70. Now, is that just coincidence? Now, I would have to say, if you're an optimist at all, he should bounce back and be a little bit better. But there are caution flags out here, is all I'm saying. Just like there were caution flags with Julio. So I think you are saying the smart thing, Derek, and you have to take the name and the glitz and the glitter away and look at what he is now and decide what is that worth.
And that's what I had to do this weekend, because my thing is I am like a fan of D-Hop. Seen him play, watched him play, stood on one sideline while he stood on the other. This guy, he can play, flat out play. Well, he still can play. But his role, his impact on the game and with his team was much different then. Now you got to be cautious. You got to be very cautious if you do sign him, because I don't think those numbers are going to – he's not going to go from 70th to 20th. I don't believe. Now, it could happen. I don't believe. Because any team he goes to, he's not the number one guy. He's not going to be the number one guy. And here's the part that people got to start thinking about. And I said this earlier. It was brought up. He was never a burner. He's never a speed guy. After the MCL, you get popped for PEDs. You look much different after 6 games. You come back. Now you can say, well, he's been off, so he had to work the rust out. And it's probably true. But you didn't look like the same guy from a movement standpoint. You still going to catch the ball. But it's harder because now the coverage is tighter. Now guys don't respect your ability to get down the field. So what are they going to do? They're going to sit on everything. Now it makes those catches that you were routinely making back in the days, it makes them harder. Because guys know you can't run by them. And you might not have that lateral quickness anymore that you had. Like, your lateral quickness and movement was superior to go along with your hands. You didn't need the speed. Now you don't have that lateral movement anymore. You don't have that quick twitch muscle. It's not like it used to be. So it's going to be even harder for you to get open. So I don't see his efficiency going up to where we're going to sit back and say, oh, my goodness, he went from 70th to 30th? No, it's not going to be that way. He's going to hover around that. And if he doesn't get – see, with Arizona, he got the targets. Mm-hmm. He got the targets.
96.
I think he averaged, 10 yards a catch, 11 yards a catch?
Something like that.
He missed all those games, and he still had 96 targets.
He's not going to get targeted
he should
like
get yards.
He's not going to get targeted like that. So you got to look at him, where he's at as a player, what he can give you as a player, and knowing that he's not. He may end up being your third option. Which in this game you need 3 options.
Yeah,
probably 4.
Right now your third option is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
Your third
take D-Hop over NWI.
He rated higher. NWI rated higher.
But I don't need that to tell me that Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is a better option than D-Hop.
Right now.
But he was more efficient. It just shows you how inefficient Hopkins was.
I'm going to go out on the line and say this.
But I would rather have DeAndre Hopkins than Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And I don't think that's
You rather have the name. No. You rather have the name D-Hop.
But one costs X, the other costs Y.
DeAndre Hopkins is a better player than Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
Yes, but you're going to have to pay him all this money. That's how much are you going to pay?
And you will be a better team because of it. If you don't want to pay the money, and I don't know exactly what it would be, and if the Titans didn't give an attractive enough offer to DeAndre Hopkins that he turned away and said, I'm good, I'll go to New England, then that's fine. Then the Titans aren't overpaying or valuing DeAndre Hopkins higher than they think that he is. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, here's the deal with that.
But he is a better player than any other option that you have right now. Maybe other than Treylon Burks.
I don't think he's better.
He makes your team better.
I don't think he's and again, I am talking about right now.
Yes,
I'm
right
not talking
now
about
still.
I'm not talking about his
still
career.
Is better than Nick Westbrook-Ikhine or Chris Moore.
No, he's
or
not.
Kyle Phillips.
He's not better than at this particular time in his career. He's not better than Chris Moore. He's not. He may be on the same plane as Chris Moore right now. Right? As we speak right now.
How?
Because
that's what the numbers say.
He's lost it. He's lost a lot of it. He's going to catch the ball for you. It's just that's going to happen.
Then why is that a bad thing?
But as far as being that
Who else is going to catch the ball?
As far as being that game breaker, here's what we got to understand in this whole little thing. Right now, Treylon Burks is your 1. Chris Moore is your 2. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is your 3. The Titans are not rushing out to get wide receivers or trying to sign every wide receiver that has a name because they believe that in their system, adding Chris Moore, a younger version, a younger guy that now is starting to come on. He's figured it out. He's gotten some playing time. I know this. I've been there. Right where Chris Moore is at, I've been there. Now he's gotten some time. Before, he wasn't getting the playing time. Now he got the playing time, and he's showing people, I can play. Titans sign him. They got Treylon Burks and Chris Moore, you're 1-2. Chris Moore, if this offense, as we believe, with Tim Kelly throwing some new wrinkles in here, if this offense is going to thrive, which I think it should. If guys stay healthy, it should. Chris Moore will be a great acquisition for this team. He's going to be a guy. I go back to, who did they pick up? Gosh. Nate Washington.
Okay.
But Nate had more of Nate had played a while. Nate was in Pittsburgh, won a Super Bowl. Nate had established himself. So him coming here, he was like the number 1 guy, and he showed it. He balled. Chris Moore is going to be sort of in that same thing. I'm not saying he's going to get 1,000 yards, but people are going to look back at this signing and say, wow, they really got their money's worth for Chris Moore. He's going to be a player. He's going to make, if they don't sign D-Hop, say D-Hop goes somewhere else. Once the season gets going, you're going to forget about D-Hop because this guy, if he stays healthy, I don't know his history with injuries. But if he stays healthy, he's going to build upon what he did last year because now he has confidence. Now he knows he can play in this game. He knows he can go out there and get the numbers. He's going to be their second guy behind Traylon Burks. He's going to be the second pass catcher behind Traylon Burks.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to be a game changer or he's going to have
Traylon Burks is a game changer. He's going to have a he's going to have
because he's second to
he's
going to
have
seven.
He's going to have in between 750 and 800 if he
what
doesn't get
makes
injured.
You think that?
Because I think this offense is going to pick up. If these guys stay healthy, I don't know how many games the Titans are going to win, but I'll tell you one thing. If that offensive line, as we believe it, they've gotten better just by the name. They've gotten better. They were better than last year, so they've gotten better than what they were last year. If this team holds up with the new wrinkles that Tim Kelly's thrown in, Traylon Burks will have over 1,000 yards if he stays healthy. I'm proclaiming this right now. Traylon Burks will have over 1,000 yards. Chinkakonkwo will have anywhere between 6 and 750. And then Chris Moore will be a 700 to 800-yard receivers with 5-6 touchdowns.
Which is what D-Hop was last year, playing in 9 games.
But he's not going to be that this year.
How do we know that? Chris Moore has
History.
never had more than 550 yards
History
in his
is
career.
telling me.
History has told me that Chris Moore is not going to be an 800-yard receiver.
But why wasn't he?
Because he's never done it before.
Why? But why?
What do
Because
you
he
mean
wasn't
why?
really playing, right?
Well, if he's not playing, he might not be
But
very
now,
good.
I wasn't playing for 3 years.
He's 29.
No, I wasn't playing for 3 years. I know.
D-Mase.
I wasn't playing
He's
for
been
damn
in the
for
league
3 years.
since 2016.
Exactly.
My
But
freshman year of college.
But did he ever get an opportunity like he got last year with Houston? He didn't.
And the opportunity he got last year in Houston, he had 540
Absolutely.
And
on a bad team, a horrible team.
His efficiency was better.
So you
His
had
efficiency was better.
Chris Moore over DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm just saying, the players right now, we're saying he's better, like D-Hop is like light years better than Chris Moore. His career is, yes. I'm not going to argue that. The man's a Hall of Famer. But right now, we got to look at right now. Nobody wants to look at like right now.
Well, let's
we have the
continue
same
the conversation
problem.
coming up next, and we'll get to your phones on it as well because the people have spoken. We'll get back into the conversation. I think that Derek Mason is off his rocker. I think he is crazy. We'll continue the conversation coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Trust your pets with Caudle Vet Clinic, East Nashville in the heart of Inglewood, offering compassionate care for your fur baby's optimal health. From vaccinations to health checkups, teeth cleaning, grooming, and surgical procedures, visit CaudleVetClinic.com to learn more. Caudle Vet Clinic, where pets are family.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A Jaffe, or Viraggio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you an experienced superintendent, project manager, foreman, or estimator? Do you possess a unique perspective that sees problems as valuable opportunities? We are an excavations and site utilities contractor. We are actively seeking skilled superintendents, project managers, foremen, and estimators who embrace challenges with a positive mindset. If you embody this mindset, apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC, build people, move dirt.
Your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. There will be a Game 3 tonight at 5 p.m. between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. The Vols came back down 4-0 yesterday and scored 8 unanswered runs. Here is head coach Tony Vitello after the win.
To respond in a way to that, challenging inning, but also just to show that we're truly in the fight was really important. And in the first game, we did that to start the day, and Storm was so good we couldn't finish the job. That mentality and that approach made it a winning day for us.
And over the weekend, the Vegas Golden Knights took a 3-1 series lead over the Florida Panthers, winning 3-2 on Saturday. And Florida now faces elimination for the 4th time this postseason, going into Game 5 tomorrow in Vegas. And Nick Taylor
became the first Canadian since 1954 to win the Canadian Open. He made a 72-foot putt to win it all. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willie, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. And hey, Caroline, Willie, and D-Mase is brought to you by the New Zen Sportsbook. With cash rewards and the easiest, simplest betting experience possible, betting just got better. Download the Zen Sportsbook app today. Now, D-Mase is making his case for Chris Moore over D-Hop, and the people have some thoughts. Steven has been waiting very patiently, so we will get to Steven. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What's up, Steven?
Hey, nothing much. So I will never argue with D-Mase on who's better, be it Chris Moore or Hopkins, but when you say, he's not going to get that many targets, that makes the targets that are thrown to whichever receiver that much more important, and there is no way on earth you can tell me you rather have that ball going to Westbrook-Akina or Chris Moore over Hopkins. He's just going to box him out and get it. But when D-Mase says that one dude's better than the other, I'm going to listen to it. But this team needs DeAndre Hopkins in a bad way. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks for your call, Steven.
But I think we're getting confused with what we're saying. We're talking about the 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins as opposed to the 26, 27, 28-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. Historically, and we read some of these numbers to you on Friday, once a receiver hits 31, it is harder and harder and harder to continue to excel, especially when you've been hit with PEDs and you've had a pretty significant knee injury. Now, this guy in the studio with us is one of the guys who did have a tremendous career from 31 on. So it is possible, right? But what did D-Mase have? He had health. He had durability. Mm-hmm. He had sustainability. Hopkins has piled up some pretty decent injuries here. What's the rap on him? Doesn't practice. So is all of a sudden he's going to find the fountain of youth? I just think you got – so just know that that's what you're getting. You're getting the car that's got 100,000 miles on it. You're not getting the 50,000 mile. And that's where we're coming in with these arguments of NWI and Chris Moore, and we haven't even factored in what the price is. So that's kind of where I'm coming from here is what are you buying here? And what are you paying for this? I'm okay at the right price on a gamble that doesn't cost me down the road. But if we're talking about OBJ money, I'm out.
Well, and I think the difference with OBJ that I want to be careful about comparing the two, because I think when the Ravens picked up OBJ's contract, they were in a much different position that the Titans are in now. They were, it was a very public, I don't know if feud is the right word, a very public miscommunication or disagreement between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens were really stuck between a rock and a hard place because they needed to appease Lamar Jackson. They wanted their negotiations to be a lot more cordial. And how do you do that? Well, Lamar wanted either OBJ or D-Hop. Didn't have to give up anything to go get OBJ. So you get OBJ and you have to sign him to whatever he wants because you need OBJ. You need that to kind of, repair the relationship with Lamar Jackson. The Titans, I don't think, are in that boat. I don't think they're as desperate for Odell Beckham Jr. as the Ravens, or for DeAndre Hopkins as the Ravens were for Odell Beckham Jr. We played a Pat Kerwin clip earlier talking about, the Browns, how much they had to overpay for Deshaun Watson. Well, the Browns were desperate, more desperate for Deshaun Watson than the Titans are for DeAndre Hopkins. So I would agree that I don't think that the Titans are in any position to give DeAndre Hopkins a $20 million contract that lasts, a year, over 3 years. I'm with you on that. But what I'm saying is I don't think that the Titans need DeAndre Hopkins to be what he was 3 or 4 years ago. Right now, your receiver room is 2 guys coming into their second year that couldn't stay healthy in year 1. Chris Moore, a journeyman throughout the league, who his best year came last year and was just shy of 550 yards. You don't have very many threats in the wide receiver room. Adding DeAndre Hopkins, even at 31 years old, even after a PED suspension, even after an injury, would be the biggest threat in that room already, even at 31 years old.
No, he's not.
Not necessarily.
He's not the biggest threat. The biggest threat in that room is Traylon Burks.
Okay, then the second biggest threat.
No, the second biggest threat, honestly, and it has nothing to do, because we're looking at this from the lens of D-Hop's whole career.
Yes.
We're not looking at it from the lens
I'm looking at last year. He had 700 yards in 9
And how many
games.
passes did they throw him the
96.
ball?
96. And he caught 60 of them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
He ranked 70th.
60 catches
70th.
for 700 yards. And
70,
also what
65,
he adds to your
71,
offense.
67.
What
Those are
does
his
he-
ratings.
Okay, again,
Efficiency be damned.
I am the biggest.
I don't care about efficiency.
You don't care about efficiency?
No, I
am
care
the
about
biggest-
making this team better, and
They're
DeAndre
not-
Hopkins
it's-
makes this team better.
I'm the biggest D-Hop fan out there of his career. Y'all heard me talk about him. Look at his whole career, what he's done. Hall of Famer to me. One of the best receivers. The third best that I've seen receiver of catching the football. First is Chris Carter, then Larry Fitzgerald, and then him, D-Hop. But that was D-Hop 2-3 years ago. Look at D-Hop. I guarantee you, we're going to be having this conversation if he did come here. And we're going to be having the same conversation we had with Julio Jones. Why did they sign him? God, why did they sign him? Look at what he gave us. Yada, this and that and this. I understand in a sense, it's a different scenario because, one, they're 2 different players. Julio relied more on his speed and his strength, and Julio was a flat-out stud, and he's a Hall of Famer as well. D-Hop was a little bit different. They're 2 different players, but what you're bringing them in here to do is essentially the same thing, to upgrade your receiving core, to be that guy that you used to be. That's why they're bringing him in here. He's not that guy.
I think they know that he's not that guy that he was 4 years ago.
Okay, so let me put it to you this way. He says, "You give me the OBJ contract, I'm in." Do you give him that?
No, because there's no market that indicates that he's worth that. And
Okay.
I would not do that. No.
Okay. So you're saying, and so that
But
is
just
becomes
because the Ravens
that's
signed
become
Odell
the
Beckham
question.
Jr. to a bad deal
But
doesn't
that
mean
becomes
the
the
Titans
question.
have to too.
There is a level that I'm willing to pay to see if he could bounce back, to see if he's the exception to the rule, and see if I can get a bounce back. But I'm not going into that range. That's going to end up where the rubber meets the road, right? Is if they offered him a contract yesterday, he'll say, "Okay, I'll take it under advisement. Let's see what is that number that you're willing to pay to see." Right? That to me is where the question lies, because I'm leaning towards D-Mase. I am very, very concerned about what you're getting
Fair
at
concerns.
this thing,
Fair
at this
concerns.
stage of his career.
At this stage of his career, I think that is fair. But also think about that I understand that you are getting 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, and you will get 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins results. You have to go into that understanding that. I think fans have to
if he's
understand
coming
that too.
if he's coming off of 700 yards on a team that
In 9 games.
a team that he was their number 1 target.
Yeah.
They geared everything around, they moved him around, did all these things to get him open. So now he comes to the Tennessee Titans. So you're saying, are the Titans then going to implore the same type of attention for him or to him, putting him in different places, moving the offense around for D-Hop?
I've said a million times before, and I will say it a million times again, Treylon Burks is your number one.
Okay.
Whether you bring DeAndre Hopkins in here or not, Treylon Burks is your number one.
Mm-hmm.
You have invested more into him than you have anyone in that receiver room, D-Hop included. So he's your number one.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you have to do with DeAndre Hopkins, do it. You need to move him around. If you add him into this offense, whatever you need to do. But I think adding in D-Hop makes Treylon Burks' job easier. Because if I'm a defensive coordinator, all I have to do is take out Treylon Burks, and then you've got Nick Westbrook-Akine and Chris Moore to throw to. So that obviously makes Treylon Burks' job easier. It adds another weapon
but can't
in the
we
passing
say,
game.
Can't we
it
say,
adds another go-to guy in
Exactly.
the passing game. It gives a veteran in the room for Treylon Burks to look up to.
Okay, the veteran is Nick Westbrook-Akine, Chris Moore, and whoever else they choose to bring in.
They are not the veterans to the caliber that DeAndre Hopkins is.
Again, we are. If we just need a veteran to bring in
experienced, accomplished fringe Hall of Famer veteran.
Again, that's what you're banking on.
No,
But
not
we're
his
not gonna
production. I'm saying the presence in the locker room.
I understand
For Treylon
that.
Burks to learn from DeAndre Hopkins is wildly different than
Oh,
Treylon Burks learning from Chris Moore.
I understand that, but then they can bring
But in
in
terms of his production,
Well, no.
I would still take 31-year-old
Let's not say
DeAndre
that.
Hopkins
Let's not say
over
that.
anyone else.
Let's not say that. We assume that it would be. But if the speculations are coming out that he doesn't learn, that he doesn't want to practice, and this and that, how does that benefit Treylon Burks when he sees a guy that isn't practicing or don't want to practice? That's doing more harm to him than good.
The practicing thing is a fair concern. It is a fair concern.
So to me, again,
But it's not like Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins are never going to cross paths.
I know
It's not
that.
like he won't be a presence in the locker room.
I know that.
And his
but-
presence on the field, just his presence, you have to pay attention to it. We've talked about it all the time.
Did he do anything for Arizona?
We've talked about it all
Hold on.
the time with
Did
Derrick
he do
Henry.
anything for Arizona?
What do you? He got 700 receiving yards in 9 games.
Did he do anything for Arizona? Yes. That presence.
DeAndre Hopkins cannot be the only person that turns a total crap team into
Did he do
a
anything
Super
for him
Bowl
the year before that?
Not really.
No.
Yes.
How?
What do you
Did they
mean?
make the
Did he do
playoffs?
anything?
Did they make the playoffs?
They did make the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. They barely
but
made
he was hurt.
They dropped 7 games like that, 6 games.
And
they barely made it in.
He was having a pretty good year before he got hurt.
Exactly. So again, you're talking about 2 years ago before an injury, and now he's 2 years removed from an injury. He got popped for PEDs.
He is several months removed away from 700 yards in 9 games on 64 receptions.
Exactly. Yeah.
96 targets.
64 receptions.
Right. 11.2 yards per carry per catch, which
Pretty
is
solid.
That's not. No.
That's the lowest. That's
I would
the
take
lowest
that.
he's
That's
at.
tight end money.
I
right
would
there.
take that.
3
That's
touchdowns.
You would take that too?
100%. I'm not paying $20 million a year for it.
What if he asked for $8 million, $9 million?
In a heartbeat. Are you crazy? $9 million for DeAndre Hopkins?
Again, y'all are living in this fantasy world. As much as I like D-Hop and his ability to play the game of football, y'all are looking at the past, just like y'all did with Julio Jones, just like y'all did with Andre Johnson, just like y'all did with all these other receivers, Randy, all these other receivers that came in here, and y'all looked at their past.
I'm looking at his
Look
last
at his
season.
future. His
It wasn't
future.
good.
Yes, his last season wasn't great.
It was his worst season.
It was better than any other receiver on this Titans team. His worst season.
The
better
Titans
than any
were horrible
other
last
player
year.
on this team.
Depends on how you measure it.
By yards, by touchdowns, by targets, the stats that matter.
Again, I go back to
It's not fantasy football.
This is football.
I gave you the football. I gave you the analytics numbers. They just hired another analytics person.
And
did
I
they
will
not?
give you some more analytics numbers, and we will continue the
Okay.
conversation coming up next because I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? We'll continue the conversation coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Makes a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
I want to give you the best players.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
Happy Monday to all the men out there. People, happy Monday to you, but I'm talking to my men right now, and I need to tell you something about Cool Springs MD. Brothers, listen. For over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive function, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a enriched life. So, there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Are you ready to tackle losing weight like me? Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and I recently began my journey to losing weight. And guess what? It's not an easy one for me because I like food, and I've never really set structure for myself, but that has changed. That's why I joined PhD Weight Loss. I'm already down 10 pounds after just a few weeks. It's a very easy to follow process that lays out everything that I need to be successful, as designed by Amazon #1 bestseller, Dr. Ashley Lucas. I have weekly check-ins with my nutritionist. Here's my favorite part. The whole process is 100% over the phone. It's nationwide. 80% of dropping fat weight is through nutrition itself, and your coach will help you through this like they have with me. No pills, no injections, no gimmicks. I'm learning how to eliminate the bad food and replace it with good. They'll even help you limit hunger and cravings. Once you get to your goal, which is good for us guys because we like having that end game, they'll be there with you through the maintenance process. Start your journey like me. Visit myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hey, tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tomorrow at 6:35 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. Now, I think that I am crazy. I think that I don't know what I put in my cereal this morning, but apparently I'm a crazy one for thinking that DeAndre Hopkins would make this team better. Willy looks at the analytics, and what is the analytic exactly, Willy?
The analytics are from Football Outsiders.
Okay.
And last year, DeAndre Hopkins, coming off of the PED suspension, he also did sit out the last couple games of the season. It was kind of, I don't know exactly what the injury was.
That was kind of a weird thing. Was he injured? Was he not? Was he just over Arizona? I don't know.
Okay, but you're not worried about that.
I'm not worried about it, no.
Okay, but he rated 70th. In the four metrics that Football Outsiders used to rank the efficiency of wide receivers. He was 70th, 65th, 71st, and 67th. There were 85 qualified wide receivers who had the ball thrown to them 50 times or more. So this isn't like throwing in the guys that, played 3 games and caught 10 passes and their efficiency was high.
Wide receiver 7.
You had to play enough to get 50 balls thrown your way. And so he ranked below, and this is what because everybody been out of shape. He ranked below Nick Westbrook-Akine. He ranked below Chris Moore. He ranked below Treylon Burks in efficiency in those categories. Now, what is efficiency? It is, yes, he had 717 yards, but he had 96 passes thrown to him. They track things like, in Football Outsiders, if you catch 5 balls at the end of a game and your team's down by 17, that's not as valuable as you catch third down conversions. If you catch a ball and it's 3rd and 15 and you catch a 12-yard pass, the yards look good, but you didn't move the sticks, so you get marked off for that. So it's what is happening when you catch the ball. How often are you being thrown the ball? What's happening when you're being thrown the ball? All of these go into it. It's not just straight-up fantasy numbers of how many yards did you get. He only had 3 touchdowns, too. Now, the best argument you can give me, I think, coming back is like, look, man, the Cardinals were awful. It was a mess from the start. Kyler Murray's not studying enough. Kyler Murray's running all over the place. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't know what he's doing. They got all these guys, and it was bad. I had Kyler Murray as my quarterback, so I watched him a lot. It was rough. They had some games where like, what is going on? I have no idea what they're doing. And that was before DeAndre Hopkins came back, and that was after DeAndre Hopkins came back. And, of course, then, after a while, Kyler Murray got hurt, and it wasn't even Kyler Murray throwing him the ball. So I can see that you could say, look, give him a pass. That was just a whole mess. That's probably the best argument. But that is the fact. He was not the same guy as he was pretty much every year leading up to that, including the year before when he was before the knee injury. He was ranked 19th in these numbers.
And I think we can all see that and understand why this past season he wasn't what he was 3 or 4 years ago. He's older, coming off the PED suspension, more injuries. And I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree with the efficiency, because let's say, use your example, 3rd and 15, it's a 12-yard pass, you don't get past the sticks. Well, how much is that really the receiver's fault, and how much is that the quarterback's fault for not throwing past the sticks, or for the play call not calling a play past the sticks? I don't really know if I put that on the receiver. Now, if it's your job to be 16 yards downfield past the sticks, and that's not where you are, then, that's a different story.
Well, because
I don't know how much I can really put that on the receiver.
Well, here's the deal. Why do you think they sent, if indeed that was the case, why do you think they sent him 10-yard route or 7-yard route? He can't get down the field. He doesn't have the foot speed to get down the field. So I can't ask him to run a 16-yard route, because if I ask him to run a 16-yard route, that means I have to hold the ball a little bit longer, and I may not have the protection to get it to him. When you lose that speed, it makes it harder for you to get down the field. So we're not going to throw you 15-yard passes all the time. That's why his catch per average was so low, because they had to get the balls in his hands very quickly as he's coming off the line of scrimmage. That's where he's good at. He can't get the ball. You can't get him down the field anymore like you used to in prior years. You can't just throw it up every time like you used to 3 or 4 years ago, and more than likely he's going to make that catch. Now, he's going to make his share because he has good hands, but it's not going to be to the level that he used to make them, okay?
And that's fine, as long as you can understand that. As long as you understand we're bringing in 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins who simply cannot do what he used to be able to do. But even that, even though he is not 26-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, I think he is still a leaps and bounds massive upgrade for this receiver.
No, it's not. No, he's not.
Why?
He is not leaps and bounds. He makes the receiver room a little bit better.
A little bit better?
A little, yes.
No, none of us know, right?
No. I'm telling you.
He could have a bounce back, and that could be one thing.
The likelihood
he could also fall off a cliff and not even be close to an upgrade.
The likelihood of him, even when I left at 31, I left here at 30, the likelihood of me, having a season that I had in the prior year was the likelihood of that wasn't slim, but you knew the production was going to come down just because you're going to a new team. You got to learn the offense. You're getting a little bit older, yada, 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 whatever else comes with a wide receiver getting older in this game. So the production does dip some. It dipped for him last season. He had 96 balls. You know how many balls Nick Westbrook-Akine? I'm going to tell you Nick's numbers. Basically 400 yards, average 16 yards a catch, meaning 16 yards a catch with 3 touchdowns. You know how many targets he got?
How many?
Just take a guess.
40.
50 targets. So imagine if I target him 30 more times or 40 more times. He's going to have the same
96.
amount of
Let's say if
yardage
it's 96.
as D-Hop. With probably more touchdowns than D-Hop.
Well,
How many games did Nick Westbrook-Akine play?
Nick Westbrook played in all of them. It don't matter.
Well,
but the
see,
offense.
So he
that's
played
what football
double the number
No.
of
That's what
games.
the analytics are trying to say.
But no. What I'm saying is this: he may have played more games, but his role was less than D-Hop, and D-Hop only played what? 10 games. 9 games. But Nick Westbrook-Akine's role was a lot less than what they were asking of D-Hop.
It needs to be less.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe if you allow him to go out there and play like you did in the previous year where his numbers were better and the whole situation was better, offensive line was better, Derrick Henry was being Derrick Henry as he always is.
If Kyler Murray was better and Arizona had a better offensive line than DeAndre
No.
Hopkins,
We're just talking about
more.
But what I'm saying is this: we go to the numbers and say, well, had he played a full season, this is what he would have, and you're probably right. But we can't then discount that for Nick Westbrook-Akine, saying had they targeted him more. He's shown that he's a guy that Ryan Tannehill trusts, and more than likely, he is the one that's going to catch the ball.
Okay.
We look at Nick Westbrook-Akine as a scrub. He ain't no damn scrub. I'm going to say it like Stephen A. He ain't no scrub. He may not be a top echelon receiver, but he ain't no damn scrub. When you give him an opportunity to make plays, he has shown he make plays. Maybe not to the magnitude of what a number one guy would, but he's not a number one guy, and we're not asking him to be a number one guy.
All right, hold 25 of his 50 targets.
Okay, exactly.
D-Hop caught 60-something of his 96.
Right.
Okay.
And their efficiency, and okay, so this
and
is
his efficiency is better.
It's about the same. It's seven.
But I'm saying as far as where you're ranked,
Nick Westbrook-Akine was 67th.
Uh-huh.
DeAndre Hopkins was 70. So what these numbers are saying is if they had basically the same amount of
they'll be the same in receiver.
It would be about the same.
So you're telling,
and both are well below average.
I don't
at least based on what happened last year.
I don't need efficiency to tell me what my eyes can tell me. That if you give me DeAndre Hopkins and Nick Westbrook-Akine, I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins 6 days a week and twice on Sunday, because I think that analytics sometimes can add great value and can sometimes add really interesting context to the story. But sometimes where I get frustrated with analytics is when it tells a different story of what my eyes can tell me. For example, in The Athletic, they put out an article ranking the receivers, all of the receivers in the NFL, and this is including tight ends, running backs, pass catchers, based on expected points added per reception. And based off of that analytic, you know who they have ranked as the number one receiver in the NFL? Jahan Dotson, Gabe Davis, Christian Watson, Jamar Chase is ranked as the 41st best receiver under this analytic. I don't need any analytic to tell me that Jamar Chase is the 41st best receiver in the league. I know. My eyes can tell me. My football brain can tell me Jamar Chase is a top 5, top 10 receiver in the league. So I think that sometimes that the analytics, when you look too far into the numbers, it can portray an incorrect picture. Like your example with 3rd and 15 of, okay, well, if you catch the ball short of the sticks, that's against your efficiency. But that's not always on the receiver. I don't need an analytic to tell me that D-Hop is the 70th best option in the league, because I know that he's not, even at 31 years old and even after injuries.
But the analytics are telling you, and the team is telling you that, listen, if we thought he was better than what the analytics said, we would have worked it out with him in Arizona. We would have did something, churned him, because we need him, because we're going to be ushering in a new quarterback pretty soon here, if not this year.
Arizona wanted to get rid of him.
So we
They're
need
tanking.
him.
Yeah, they're tanking for Tua.
But what I'm saying, we need him, if indeed that's the case. But the analytics for him at this point in time in his career, this is not a one-off. He's been going down as his career has been going down. Like the number, he's been falling as he's gotten older. That's just
where did he rank in that per reception? What was the category again?
Expected points per average. DeAndre Hopkins was 88th. So, he's not the 88th best receiver in the league.
But that has to do with what happens when they throw you the ball, right?
Yes.
Because the guys that are higher, they didn't get the ball thrown to them nearly as often, but they did well while they got him, right? So they played their role well. DeAndre Hopkins, those numbers tell me he was targeted a lot, and his efficiency was way down based on where it's been before, 88.
So he's not a guy that you, at this point in his career, and what the Titans do need, he's not it right now. You're bringing him in because of, and listen, if you bring him in, I would like it, but you're bringing him in because of what he has done, not necessarily that you think he's the last missing piece. You just want to bring in somebody to help the passing game, to help the guys here. He's not then going to come here and have this resurgence of a career.
I don't think that's what he needs, though. I think the Titans are looking at it like this receiver room needs a little bit more oomph, needs a little bit more help. We want to make our team better. And that's what DeAndre Hopkins does.
Honestly, I can go do that. I can go get what's his name? Galladay.
Kenny Galladay. Yeah.
Yes. I can go get him 2 years removed from a 1,000-yard receiver.
And they might do that. If
to me, if
the dollars and cents don't work out with DeAndre Hopkins, then I'm sure that's the next option.
If it's me, that's where I'm going because he's younger and he's faster. And he's shown he can play in this league. 2 years in a row, he's shown he can play in this league. I don't know what happened with that last couple of years with the Giants, but before he got to the Giants, when he was with Detroit, he put up numbers. So it's still in him, and he's young.
He's 29.
He's young.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We've got a bunch of calls, bunch of texts, and bunch of thoughts on that, so we're right into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
The NHL Awards and NHL Draft are coming soon to the Music City. Join us live June 26th through 29th at Bridgestone Arena as we'll have you covered from the red carpet and the draft floor as the stars of tomorrow join the quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's D-Mase for Zen Sports Sportsbook. The new Zen Sportsbook is bringing the cash back to Nashville. On Zen Sportsbook, all rewards are cash rewards. No more points or credit, just real cash. When you sign up with a referral code, earn a welcome bonus of an unlimited 5% cash back on your bets for 15 days. Keep betting. Keep earning up to 3% cash back. 3% cash back rewards on your betting volume every month. Even better, earn 3% cash commission on everyone you refer. Welcome to Cashville with Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years of age or older in Tennessee to bet. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The FedEx St. Jude Championship returns to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th. Don't miss your chance to witness the top 70 players from the PGA Tour season battle it out in the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Only 50 players will make it through Memphis. Don't miss your chance to watch the drama unfold. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
When the game goes into overtime, but the game goes into overtime. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. And when you don't have electricity, radio in the car is often your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. In the Game Nashville app. D-Mase and Willy are sticking with the analytics, sticking with the efficiency numbers that says DeAndre Hopkins was the 71st ranked receiver in terms of efficiency. Don't think that DeAndre Hopkins would add exponentially much. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I've said I think that DeAndre Hopkins would make this team leaps and bounds better.
No.
You disagreed.
I think obviously the room would be better, but when you say leaps and bounds, I mean this team goes from being, and honestly because of sort of the nature of it, when you say, well, it makes this team leaps and bounds. Well, this is a good team, not a bad team, not a great team, but this is a good team. So if you bring him in here and he makes this team leaps and bounds better, they are a Super Bowl contending team.
But, well, that's not what I mean by that.
But I'm just saying when you say that, to me, he makes this team a little bit better from a passing standpoint. It's not going to be, it's not going to be a thing where all of a sudden this offense start lighting up the place because they add D-Hop.
I don't think that it's going to be all of a sudden Ryan Tannehill goes from 250 passing yards a game to 450. I don't think that
he goes from 250 yards passing to 255 yards passing a game.
I think that a D-Hop could be the difference of 2-3 games, and that could be the difference in the division. So that could be the difference between you making the playoffs and not.
How can he, again, how does he make him 2 or 3 games better? How?
Because it makes the passing game better. It takes defensive backs off of Treylon Burks. It gives Ryan
No, it's
Tannehill.
not. It's not. It's still not going to take defensive backs off of Treylon Burks. It's just not. Because
now you have to divide your attention. I'm not saying that Treylon Burks is now all of a sudden going to run free and nobody's going to pay attention to them, but it inherently makes his job easier when now a defensive coordinator has to look at both of them and your guy Nick Westbrook-Ikine and Chris Moore.
What we're losing here is this. We thought this same thing 2 years ago when I kept saying, why in the hell are they getting rid of Corey Davis? Why are you getting rid of Corey Davis? Why are you getting rid of Corey Davis? He fits what this team want to do. He keeps people from double teaming A.J. Brown, because when you double team A.J. Brown, Corey Davis has the ability to get open and terrorize you, and he showed it when he was here. They got rid of him. Bring in Julio Jones. Watch this offense fly. They ain't going to be able to double team A.J. Brown. Julio's going to be over here. And what happened? 31-year-old Julio, 31-year-old Julio came in, and it was crickets. And he played a lot. Now, he got in doghouse with Vrabel, so that could have been a part of it. But the offense never did sort of morph into what many thought it was going to be. You gotta look at it again, because we looked at Julio, say his name and what he has accomplished, and we're right. His name and what he has accomplished makes him a Hall of Fame player, no question. What D-Hop has accomplished in his name makes him a Hall of Fame player, no question. But he's not that at this particular moment. We don't know what he is. From last we saw over the last 2 years, his play has declined some. And you're not going to tell me, especially after getting popped for PEDs. I don't know what they were, but they were PEDs. So he needed something to get him going. Now he doesn't have that. The numbers, the history tells me that it's going to decline even more.
But
and
we
you
still
don't
saw him play 9 games after he got popped for PEDs.
Exactly. He still played 9 games. But yet and still,
and it was his worst year.
It didn't change that offense for the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm not blaming it on him, but I'm just saying it didn't change the offense. So then now you bring him here, got to learn a whole new system, got to learn, Vrabel, because Vrabel as a position coach on the defensive side of the ball is different from Vrabel as the whole coach over everybody. He's different now. So you gotta learn the coach again. You gotta learn what's going on in the building. So now when we finally get on the field, because whenever he does sign, remember this. What if he doesn't sign it to July? You ain't got no time to build up no rapport. Nothing. That means a lot, people. If he walks out of this building and doesn't sign today or tomorrow, and he chooses to double back saying July, mid to late July, again.
But at that point, the Titans might say that ship has sailed.
No, they might, but what if they don't say?
If they don't, then that is their own prerogative.
But what we got to understand is this. We got to look at it for what it is now. The player, and we're not disrespecting him by looking at who he is as a player. Now, he's not the D-Hop that we all were just marveling over. He's not that guy. He's become mortal in a sense.
Yes.
He's become a second guy on a subpar team. If he goes to a really good team with 2 guys that can flat out, he becomes the 3 or the 4. You got to look at
which is why the Chiefs would like him. This might be the right spot for him. They could probably do something for him if he is in that role. That's what makes sense to me. So, and look, we can go through the history of 31-year-old wide receivers. We can talk about Julio Jones when he was 31, 32. Remember, he was 32 when he was on the Titans. When he was 31, he had his first year where he missed a lot of games. He played only 9 games. He had 771 yards. Way more efficient, though. 68 targets, 51 receptions, 15 yards per catch. The drop-off happened after that. So just historically, just know when a guy hits 31, it is rare that you still can produce. But most of the guys who did are like Derek. They never missed any time coming up through that rank. If you've been hurt, the chances are even harder for you to bounce back and be what you were before the injuries pile up.
But I think my overall point is I know he's not what he used to be. I know that. I'm not expecting him to be that. I wouldn't even expect, honestly, a 1,000-yard season. But even still, that makes your pass-catching core better. Let's get your thoughts on it. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Solo has been waiting very patiently. What's up, Solo?
Hey, my question is, are we a contender? If we're not a contender, don't bring him back because it's going to take away a play from Buck, from Phillips, from Chinqua, from McMass, whoever we have. If all of these young talent, maybe in 2, 3, 5 years, they'll be good together. You bring a whole one in. It's been 13 years, let me say. Maybe 2005, that's when I became a Tennessee Titan fan. And what I realized, we can pick number 1 quarterback. We don't have a coach. That's the ball of quarterback. We leave them, where they were in college. And we don't even try to teach them what they're good at and then try to change them what they can be. So this team has a problem. We drop high, we let them walk. We never keep our good players we pick. Whether we're tight end,
thank you for your
wide
call, Solo.
receiver,
Thanks
we
for your
let
call,
them go.
Solo. Appreciate.
I don't need
appreciate
him.
your
I don't
insight.
need him.
Thank you for
He
your
says
call, Solo.
no, they're not a contender. And I see that. If you're rebuilding, you probably don't go down this road. But I think they're trying to sort of thread the needle. What can we do this year, but also have an eye on the future?
Let's get right back into your phones on this coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, TD in 15 minutes. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
going down. It's going down. It's going down.
They fight.
Jared, you're how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that, how do you know that, though? How do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Last year, Jerry was all like, hey, I'm going to go to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix this year. Then he didn't. Instead, he decided to weed his garden. And he missed an August weekend of IndyCar racing, Supertruck racing, even night racing, all through downtown Nashville. Sure, old Jer had a lot of weeds to pull, but Jerry also totally sucks. Hey, don't suck like Jerry. Get your tickets at MusicCityGP.com for August 4th through 6th. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Get amped.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. A couple of months ago, somebody asked me if I'd be interested in trying out PhD Weight Loss, and I said sure, especially because I had a friend that had done it and had seen wonderful results. Ever since I used the program, I have absolutely loved it. I've been using PhD Weight Loss now for 3 weeks, and I've already lost 15 pounds, and my energy is better than it was before. I'm really excited to share with you my journey on PhD Weight Loss. It's been a lot of fun, and 80% of dropping that fat weight is all through their nutrition. No appetite suppressants or hidden costs or things like that. And they send you the food. It's absolutely wonderful. PhD Weight Loss is not a workout program, and they provide weekly one-on-one weigh-ins with nutritionists, weekly tweaks to customize my plan, and 85% of the food is provided at no extra cost. Here's their guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss at myphdweightloss.com.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
This number makes more sense.
It does not make more sense.
It's absolutely.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad.
Yay, we win. We don't. We lose. No, I disagree.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 9.
If you're good enough, you're good enough. It's absurd.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app. TD Teron Davenport will join us in 10 minutes. I think the Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. I think that DeAndre Hopkins adds another threat in the passing game. It takes a defensive back off of Treylon Burks. It adds a veteran presence in the room. But I don't think D-Mase and Willy agree with me.
It depends on the price.
And
okay,
that's fair.
If you tell me it's a bargain price, then I'm interested. If you tell me it's in the OBJ category, I am a hard pass. But then there's kind of that what's in between, right? And that's where, to me, the decision has to be made. And that's if he's interested, right? Cleveland could come in and give just dumb money to say, well, we'll give you what OBJ.
Cleveland has done that before, and I got a
Many
feeling they'll do it again.
teams have when they feel the pressure that they have to win. They have Deshaun Watson. They haven't won in a while. They paid all this money to get him. They might do it. I mean, it just takes one, right? That's what he's probably shopping around for. But to me, you've got to know what you're getting, and you got to assign the right value to where he is now. It's like D-Mase started this whole conversation by saying, don't look at the name. Look at what he is now at age 31.
Let's get your thoughts on it. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have a thought, Austin is on the line. What's up, Austin?
Oh, not much. Just trying to get through a busy day. But I was just listening to you guys. I agree. The Tennessee Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. And I disagree with Willy and D-Mase because I feel like the analytics were a little bit diluted based on last year because of Kyler Murray getting hurt and all of that. If you look at the prior year, 2021, I believe, he had 8 touchdowns, less yards. I believe it was over 500 yards, I believe, with 8 touchdowns.
572, yep.
572 with 8 touchdowns. So combine those 2 seasons, he is still, in my mind, he would be considered the best receiver that the Titans currently have. Now, Chris Moore, yes, he's younger, but we still don't know a whole lot. He's like a journeyman. Like I said, he could possibly pan out. He couldn't. So I'm on the idea of I would rather have a proven commodity to help possibly coach these guys so that Traylon Burks, him being with Traylon Burks would be perfect. I just I look at DeAndre Hopkins, and he in my mind would be the best thing to happen receiver wise currently, because I can't think about Julio Jones. That's where I get kind of if I don't it's not the same.
Yep. Thank you for your call, Austin. Appreciate that. I think another thing too, Chris Moore's 29 and D-Hop's 31. So yes, Chris Moore is younger, but still, it's not like Chris Moore is 23 years old with an entire career left with a whole lot to prove. At least I think.
He has a whole lot to
prove. What you see is what you're going to get with Chris Moore. He's been in the league since 2016.
No, what you see is not what you're going to get because, again, if you look at his career.
Why am I supposed to expect that he's going to do so much more?
What I'm saying is this. When he's been given the opportunity to catch the football, he's made do on those opportunities. He just hadn't gotten enough opportunities. He got enough last year, which parlayed him to a contract this year. Okay? Then the other thing we got to throw in, listen. You're asking a guy that, and I'm about to tell you, and I think we talked about this before, starting his career, 93 targets, 127, 192, 150, 176, 163, 150, 160. Last year, 2 years ago, played 10 games, 64. Last year, 96. So
we're talking over 10 per game. 10 or more per game most years.
Yeah. He's not going to get those many targets here. So you're asking him to be productive with less targets per game. Here, he's going to get maybe 4 targets on average per game. He doesn't operate in those spaces. Guys like him, number one guys that have been number one guys, they don't operate with you just throwing the ball at them 4 times a game. You're talking about 1 per quarter. Hell, he got more than 1 in 1 drive in his career. So now you're asking him, hey, you come here, you be second fiddle to Traylon Burks. You knew that already. But the way our offense is designed, you're not going to get the 6 or 7 catches you require, or maybe not even the 5 catches you require. You know who thrives best under that? Chris Moore. Why? Because he's not used to getting 100 and something. He plays he make do with the opportunities that he get. He doesn't need a lot of opportunities. Just like Nick Westbrook-Akine doesn't need a lot of opportunities. They just need to be put in the right position. The offense needs to flow the way it needs to flow, or the offensive coordinator needs to be creative. We believe Tim Kelly is creative. So with that being said, I would rather, not necessarily because of their careers, but because of where they're at now, I would rather go with Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine. Not to say that D-Hop wouldn't make this room better, not exponentially better or enormously better, but not exponentially, take that out, enormously better. But with these young guys, they operate in a space where they're not used to 90-something, targets a season. They're used to 50, and they make do with the 50 because they know that, hell, I'm not going to give him any chance, so I'm going to go out here and ball when I do get an opportunity. D-Hop is used to getting 10 touches per game, at least. He's not going to get that with the Tennessee Titans, which means the production is not going to be there. It's not.
Couple things. First of all, let's say he does get, I think it would be more than 4 targets a game.
No, it wouldn't. No.
Let's say 4 targets a game.
Let's be
Who
generous
else are
and
those
say 6. Let's
Who
just say
else are those
6 to
targets
be
going
generous.
to?
Who else was those? Well, Bokum is going to Traylon. And then you got Chikakonkwo. Then you got Spears coming out the backfield. And then you do have Chris Moore, who you just signed. And then you do have, if you sign D-Hop, then you have D-Hop. And then you have Nick Westbrook-Akine because you trust Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Kyle Phillips.
Kyle Phillips is in there.
Yep.
So you got to understand. We're just looking at the name and what he has done, and rightfully
I've told you so
so.
many times I'm looking at more than just the name. I'm looking at his production this past year and what the Titans have to work with. And I think the second thing is it's a very fair point that you don't want to bring in a guy who's used to being the guy and now he's no longer the guy. But I think that's why the Titans brought him in. Is to kind of lay that down and say, look, this is what we're working with. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. You're not going to be our number one. You're not going to be getting 15 targets a game. Are you okay with that? If so, then great, let's move forward.
He's not coming if that's the case.
If not, then have a wonderful career in New England. But I do think that was part of the conversation, part of the reason of bringing him in here, because it is a fair point. But I want to get TD's thoughts on that, so we will chat with him coming up next. TD, Teron Davenport will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
102.5 The Game and Green Trees Company Dispensary want to send you to see Bryan Adams at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, June 17th with very special guest Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Listen all week long to Robbie and Rexroad for your cue to call to win tickets to Bryan Adams and Joan Jett at Bridgestone Arena.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. There will be a Game 3 tonight at 5 p.m. between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. The Vols came back down 4-0 yesterday and scored 8 unanswered runs. Here is head coach Tony Vitello after the win.
To respond in a way to that, challenging inning, but also just to show that we're truly in the fight was really important. And in the first game, we did that to start the day, and Storm was so good we couldn't finish the job. That mentality and that approach made it a winning day for us.
And over the weekend, the Vegas Golden Knights took a 3-1 series lead over the Florida Panthers, winning 3-2 on Saturday. And Florida now faces elimination for the 4th time this postseason, going into Game 5 tomorrow in Vegas. And Nick Taylor became the first Canadian since 1954 to win the Canadian Open. He made a 72-foot putt to win it all. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Stone and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound and a score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. And hey, Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace is brought to you by the new Zen Sports Sportsbook with cash rewards and the easiest, simplest betting experience possible. Betting just got better. Download the Zen Sports Sportsbook app today. Breaking down the Titans' visit with DeAndre Hopkins. I do believe he's still in Nashville. And after he leaves here, he'll head to New England. He posted on his Instagram story, got picked up in a nice tricked out little Sprinter van. Was at CMA Fest for Tim McGraw yesterday. So taking his visit with the Tennessee Titans, he does have a visit scheduled with the New England Patriots. When asked about the visit with DeAndre Hopkins, Bill Belichick said, I don't know, talk to him, we'll see. Which, you know, if we think Vrabelese is a difficult language to learn and to translate, Bill Belichick is the next level of Bill Belichickese. But I've said I think that DeAndre Hopkins makes this team better. He adds another threat in the passing game. He will add a threat, not just an option for Ryan Tannehill to throw to, but also another person in the receiving core that defenses have to pay attention to. I think he adds a very accomplished veteran presence in the wide receiver room that they simply just do not have. I think that's good for Treylon Burks' development. And I understand the concerns about D-Hop. PED suspension, injuries, age, he doesn't like to practice. All of those things are very, very fair concerns. And I think should be added into the conversation of how much money are we willing to give DeAndre Hopkins? What can we expect DeAndre Hopkins to do for this football team? But even with all of those things considered, age, injuries, PEDs, all of the above, I still think this last year he had a better season than any other wide receiver in this Titans room, and he still makes your team better.
I'm not going to doubt that he makes that receiving core better, but I don't think it's to a point where now, teams are fearing this, receiving core just because you had Hopkins. As a matter of fact, teams are probably looking at it like good, because the one thing Vrabel did say, we want to get faster, and I'm sure he was talking specifically in the receiver room or whatnot. You don't get faster with bringing D-Hop. You just don't. I mean, he's not a down-the-field guy. He's never really has been a spurner. Mm-hmm. But at this point in his career, he does make your room a little bit slower.
Let's get TD's thoughts on it. TD, Teron Davenport, joins us now. TD, always appreciate chatting with you. We've been having this discussion today. I think that D-Hop makes the Titans better. Willie and D-Mase are not quite convinced that what he is now at this point in his career is worthwhile for the Tennessee Titans. What are your thoughts on the Titans bringing in D-Hop, if they do sign D-Hop, and how much better do you think would he make this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think he makes the group better, but you have to look at it through the lens of not him coming in and being a number one receiver. He more or less would be a number two, a guy who would complement Treylon Burks. So that's the way it goes. I think you also have to look at the confidence that he brings to that offense. You know, you add a player of that caliber, regardless of whether or not he's where he once was, it's still a caliber of player that you add that's better than pretty much everything else you have in the room outside of Treylon Burks. So I think that does help. He isn't a burner. Like, he's not going to make them faster right away, but I think he'll make them a better offense, because you look at with Derrick Henry, 8-man boxes, one-on-one coverage. I think, DeAndre Hopkins is still a threat against man coverage, single coverage like that. So that definitely would help, in my opinion, as well.
Have you heard anything, any of the latest on his visit with the Titans?
No, haven't heard anything about it. So we'll see. I did see a report that he may not be going to New England. I forget where I saw whose account I saw that on, but I did see that. Belichick has said that he may not be there, but I mean, we'll see. I haven't heard anything else.
TD, do you believe that if indeed that is the case, where New England is sort of backed off, and we heard Bill Belichick speak on it, he wasn't committal to whether D-Hop was coming on a visit or not. He acted as if he didn't know, really. But do you see this as a situation where the Titans just may win by default because there's nobody else out there that is willing to, give him close to what he's probably asking for?
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible that would be the case. I think you look at how they just, suddenly emerged as a favorite. You look at some of the odds and stuff. I think that could be the case. I mean, I wouldn't have expected him to sign within the same week, but I would thought if Kansas City and Buffalo, if they were going to do it, I thought they would have done it by now. So I would say this visit is a result of what could have been, less interest elsewhere and trying to drum it up, or, like you said, go with a winner by default.
But shouldn't that be a red flag to the Titans? I mean, listen, as much as I've come on this radio and I've spoke highly of D-Hop, and I do believe he's a Hall of Famer. But the last 2 years, for whatever reason, we could say injury, we could say, well, he got suspended for PEDs. Well, those should be red flags too. But each year, if this is anyone else, we would say don't touch with a 10-foot pole, because he spent the last 2 seasons not playing a full season, and he was injured, and the production is going down. So shouldn't this be all just like, as you're riding, it's sort of like that movie, TD, like you're riding down the street, you see one sign, then you see another, then you see another, then you see a bunch of red signs saying, no, don't go. It seems like that's what's happening. Like, we're seeing all these signs, but it seems like the Titans are ignoring them.
It could be viewed as a red flag, but, I mean, I think the Chiefs have shown that they're only going to put so much into the receiver position, right? Mm-hmm. They signed Tyreek Hill, and, they said, oh, wait a minute, and dealt him, a year or so later. And I think you look in Buffalo, they have issues, within themselves that they have to work out. And I don't know that there was ever interest or not. But, I mean, I could see what you're saying. But then at the same time, that could be there could be red flags for Hopkins looking at the Titans, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, other receivers have gone there and didn't do too well. Oh, they're a run-first offense. Oh, my goodness. They only scored 5 points per game in the second half last year. Oh, my goodness, that offense only averaged, whatever they averaged, which was in the low 20s in the league. So it could be looked at both ways.
Teron Davenport is with us. So, Teron, let's flip it to DeAndre Hopkins' season last year. He sits out for the first 6 games. His numbers, I know everybody, this is part of what we've been talking about today, is he had 717 yards. But if you look, it was not nearly as efficient as he had been before the knee injury. And so how much do you equate that as he's not quite the same since the injury, and how much of it is the Cardinals were just a mess because of that? I mean, they just had a brutal year from a lot of different angles.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, he had Colt McCoy throwing him the ball, so you got you got to factor that into it a bit. But 90-plus targets, 60 receptions, it's definitely not the most efficient. I think they could get better results here if he was in this offense. But you go back and you look at Rob Moore, what he's always said, he wants his guys to focus on getting 1,000 yards on 60 to 70 receptions. Like, that's the level of efficiency that they try to attain. And, that's what A.J. Brown was able to do. And obviously he's a special player, different, creature, but still that's what they look to achieve.
Okay, so Teron, all of this to say, we've tried to hit this from all angles to determine what's the value here. As I think we can probably say some of these contenders like the Chiefs would like to have him, but maybe not have a lot of money under the cap to do it. It's got to be more of a, hey, you're coming here to be a role player to win, and then you've got maybe some teams on the other end of the spectrum that are going to offer more. Let's just say the baseline that maybe he's looking for would be the OBJ type of money, about $15 million as a signing bonus. What is the right price to offer DeAndre Hopkins at this stage of his career?
Yeah, I don't know that would be the right. I don't even know that that's the right price for OBJ, to be honest with you. But I mean, I think if you could, do something in the $8 to $9 million range, always put incentives in there to boost it up and make it look better, where it's like up to X million dollars. That's always good for the agents and stuff like that for their reports. But I probably, like I said, 8 to 9 guaranteed with incentives.
And okay, so 8 or 9. And do you feel like they could get good bang for their buck if he says, I'll take it?
Absolutely. I think you get a very good return on your investment for that, for sure.
TD is with us, Jerron Davenport. TD, I did see that same report, Bill Belichick saying when he was asked about DeAndre Hopkins visiting New England, he said, I don't know, I've talked to him, we'll see. Just, classic Bill Belichick ease. Let's say DeAndre Hopkins leaves Nashville. He heads to New England. He takes his visit with the Patriots. Do you think that's a good sign, bad sign, indifferent sign for the Titans that he leaves Nashville without signing a contract?
I think it's indifferent. I would like to believe he will leave Nashville without having signed a contract. And it's a tour, right? Like, he's going to go visit with some teams, see what they have to offer. And, unless it's an overwhelmingly positive offer that you can't refuse, it's only right to explore your options. So I think that's what he's doing.
TD, appreciate you as always. We'll chat with you soon.
All right, for sure. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, TD. We've got a bunch of thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins, his visit, what he could do for the Titans. How much should the Titans be willing to put forward for DeAndre Hopkins? We will get into your texts, your calls, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about our customers. Right now, you can get 0 interest financing on any purchase. Beautiful tennis bracelets or 5-stone rings starting at only $35 a month. Those 4-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings, just $115 a month. Get Genesis low price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Rings, pendants, bands, one-of-a-kind designer jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Now through July 1st only. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
Heard that phrase, less is more? Well, at Harbor Freight, it's more for less. That's why everything in our store is priced affordably. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. And now, when you buy a Bauer 20-volt battery and charger for $99.98, you'll get to choose a select Bauer 20-volt tool to go with it for free. Yep, more for less. Harbor Freight. Offer and pricing valid in-store and on in-stock items only from now until June 30th. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Cannot be combined with other discounts or promotions. Free tool limited to select items only.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and it's almost time to crown an NBA champion, and FanDuel wants you to be part of the excitement because right now new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. This has not gone well for my Miami Heat, and I think that continues in Game 5. Denver wins Game 5, in my opinion, and they win their first championship. But you can take it any way you want to take it. Just make sure you're doing it on FanDuel. They've got great promotions every single day, and you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the finals action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Rob and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/Rob. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Make sure you call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Buffalo Bill's Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one, including a wonderful Plains Indian Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bill's Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hey, the Nashville Sounds are having a block party on Junior Gilliam Way from 3 to 5 p.m. in honor of 615 Week this Saturday. There will be live music, inflatables, balloon artists, food trucks, hair braiding, and more. My goodness, they've got a lot going on. This is a free event before the Sounds game this Saturday. Breaking down DeAndre Hopkins' visit to the Tennessee Titans. He is scheduled to visit the New England Patriots, but as TD mentioned in our visit last segment, that might be in question, maybe. It depends on how you interpret Bill Belichick's response in that press conference there. When he was asked about D-Hop visiting, and he said, I don't know, we'll see. I've talked to him. So we will see, Bill. We will see if DeAndre Hopkins makes his way to New England. I think the Titans need DeAndre Hopkins. Willie D and D-Mase are not quite sure. For the right price, says Willie.
That's what I say. I say for the right price, and I would not get into a bidding war, and I would not lose sleep if somebody overpaid to grab him. All I'm trying to lay out there is understand what you're getting here. You're getting a 31-year-old wide receiver. Look at the history of 31. And the list includes some great years from 31-year-olds, but most of them had not had an injury history. The one that jumped out to me, I was looking at the list. Jordy Nelson famously had, I think he had a torn ACL. He came back the next year and picked up where he left off, had a really good year.
Yeah.
But there is, if you look at all of the wide receivers who have ever played, it's not easy to be as productive at age 31. So that's all I'm saying. And since the knee injury and then the PEDs, there was a drop-off in his play. And you have to look a little bit below the surface of the 717 yards, which were nice, but the efficiency was down. Ranked 70th in Football Outsiders efficiency.
Yeah, and again, if the Titans chose to sign him here, it would be good for their team as a whole. It would make the receiver room a little bit better than what it is now. I don't think this receiving core goes from being, let's just say, the 25th best in the league.
I think it's ranked as the 32nd in the league.
Yeah, so
pretty much unanimously, 32nd.
Basically, they have him dead last. So if they have him dead last, I'm not saying they're dead last, but there are pundits that are saying they are dead last, and I get it. So you add D-Hop, they don't go from dead last to a middle of the road receiving core. They go from dead last to 28th, 27th, 26th, somewhere in there. Because you got to understand, you're not getting the D-Hop that was once tearing up the league. you're getting a D-Hop that over the last 2 seasons, for whatever reason, for the last 2 seasons, his play has declined. And, you got to understand that bringing him in. One, that, okay, he's more so on the decline. What are we asking him to do? Are we asking him just to be a leader in this room and to take a little heat off of Traylon Burks? Are we asking him to be a bona fide number 2, which is, you still, if you're a bona fide number 2, you still better be putting up some yardage.
Yeah.
You better be damn near close to 1,000, if not. So we have to look at it from the standpoint of who we're getting now. Again, if we're getting D-Hop 2 years ago, great. Bring him on in. Pay him whatever you want because he was at that caliber prior to 2 years ago. But the guy we're getting now, you gotta walk it you gotta approach it sort of cautiously. Everything has to be right in order for you to bring him into this room because he's not taking you from a fringe team to a Super Bowl contending team. He's taking you potentially from a team that's truly competing for a team that's going to have to fight to win the AFC South to you bring him in, you're still in that sort of let me just say this. Without D-Hop, they're fighting to win the South, right?
Yes.
They're fighting. With D-Hop, they're still fighting to win the South.
But I would
it
give
doesn't
them better
change.
odds.
I don't think around the league they'll jump much up.
I don't think the odds are
rankings.
no different from him being on this team or not. I just think where everybody else is in that division, where they're trending, more importantly, where Jacksonville is trending, that's not going to push them no closer than Jacksonville than what they are now if they bring D-Hop to this team. It's not.
Why not?
Because he's not. If you were telling me D-Hop of 3 years ago, yeah, because he was still like 1,300 yards, 1,200.
It's not D-Hop of 3 years ago.
So how many games? Again, it's not the quarterback position.
No.
It's not even the running back position.
Which is why I can't. I can't say, well, the Titans shouldn't get D-Hop because he doesn't make them a Super Bowl contender. Mm-hmm. Well, he doesn't play a position that can make that pivotal of a difference.
But he's not going to make me 2 or 3 games better either. He's not.
I think that he would.
He's not going to make you 2 or 3 games better. It's just where he's at in his career. He's not going to give you that because you're not asking him to do the same things that he used to do as a player. He's not getting the targets. So if you're not getting the targets and you're not impacting the game the way you used to, you can't then say, well, he's 2 or 3 games better if we add him to our roster. His the whole sort of approach with him or his impact on the game is totally different than what it was 3-4 years ago. Now,
it doesn't need to be that, I don't think.
If
the
you
Titans bring him in, I don't think
No.
that they can expect that. That's not fair.
But if you want this team to be 2 or 3 games better, his impact, he needs to have an impact on every game. Because, again, he's used to that. And because he's used to that, that then affected the outcome of games because we were throwing it to him 10, 12 times a game. Now he comes here, say if he gets 4 or 5 catches a game, if that. How is that impacting the game unless they all come in the fourth quarter on game tying or winning drives or it comes on every third down, but it's not going to be that way. So he's not going to impact the game the way we would want him to.
And I also think about it, too. Think about how many close games the Titans played in last year. I mean, there were several games that came down to the wire, came down to the last quarter, final minutes, last couple of plays, last couple of drives. I mean, think about the Jags game, for example. I mean, even that game for the division, the last game of the season, came down to the last couple of seconds, last couple of minutes. So thinking about those specific instances that can really completely change the outlook of your schedule. I don't have the Titans schedule in front of me, but I would have to say 5 or 6 of the games that they lost this past season were pretty close.
Yep.
And the Bills game wasn't close. But, I mean, the Giants game came down to a field goal. The Jags game came down to
The Giants didn't know that they were a good team.
Giants didn't know they were a good team. But I'm just saying, for example, the games that ended very, very closely, even the Bengals game was a very close game.
Jamar Chase wasn't playing.
I know that, but I'm just saying.
I'm just throwing these things at you. Jamar Chase wasn't playing, so that potentially could have been an even bigger game.
It
could have been.
The
score could have been a little bit, different.
And I would probably give you that. The Bengals with Jamar Chase are a better team without Jamar Chase. I'm totally with you. I'm just giving examples of how many close games the Titans played this past season. Think about if you're throwing to D-Hop and not Robert Woods, who drops the ball short of the sticks. In those kinds of instances, in those kind of situations, right now, if the Titans go into this season as constructed, if the game is on the line, you have to get a first down to keep this game alive, potentially keep your season alive.
Traylon Burks.
And who else? If Traylon Burks is triple teamed,
Chikakonkwo.
I would feel a whole lot better throwing him to DeAndre Hopkins than I would Chris Moore.
That's the question: is can he still be that guy?
But
at what level?
Yeah,
at this stage of his career.
Yesterday's price isn't today's price.
And I think that his compensation needs to reflect what he can do for your team.
Well, if that's the case, then you're not compensating him a lot because again, we can go back to those close games last year, and we can say, well, they were close last year. Just think if we had D-Hop, and we could have probably won those games, and this year we're going to win them. Again, I said yesterday's price is not today's price, meaning I'm not talking about from a money standpoint. I'm saying yesterday was different from today. Today is a different day. The Jacksonville Jaguars is a different team. The Kansas City Chiefs is a different team. Cincinnati Bengals is a different team. They are a lot better now. So we can't lean on last year and say, man, those games were close. Just think if we had this year when we get such and such, those games are not going to be close.
I'm not saying it's going to be the exact same outcome. I'm just saying when it comes, it's probably more often than not, or more likely than not, the games are probably going to be close. That's just the way that the NFL is constructed. And I would feel better about having a more proven veteran guy out there. I'm not saying that, hey, you're going to win 16 games with DeAndre Hopkins because that's what last year would have been. I'm just using that as an example. But I do think that the compensation should reflect what he is now. I don't think, and I agree with TD, that if DeAndre Hopkins walks out of Nashville today without a deal, I'm fine with that because that means that the Titans didn't give him an absolutely ridiculous bonker offer that he couldn't refuse. Odell Beckham Jr., I don't think deserved a $15 million contract with incentives up to $18 million. Just because the Ravens signed Odell Beckham Jr. to that contract doesn't mean the Titans need to overpay for DeAndre Hopkins. I think they need to be smart about it. I think they need to be conservative with it. I think they need to seriously consider the same arguments that you're making, D-Mase, of he's D-Hop 2023, not D-Hop 2019. So I do think that his compensation should reflect that.
Yeah, it should. And
the price that Teron threw out there, to me, is still a little high.
Too high.
It's too high.
Well,
I'm not going there.
8 to 10?
I'm not going to even say that's too high.
He said 8 to 9, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to even say that's too high because, again, it's if you feel you're worth more than money, then you stay out there until somebody's willing to get you. But eventually the market tells you how much they're willing to pay you, and it may be different from what you thought people should be or you think people should be paying you. So, again, if the Titans want to give them 8, give him 8. They want to give him 20. Give him 20. It's up to y'all. It's not me. I can't tell you how much money that man deserves or doesn't.
The other part that I don't know for sure, because I heard Bill Polian the other day saying, just because you look at Spot Rack, it doesn't mean you have all of those websites are estimates. They're not always right on the money for what a team has. But I just. And he used the example of signing your practice squad, signing players during the season. You have to keep a certain amount of budget under the cap to make it work. So what I don't know is what do they have to offer him, knowing that if they're going to keep Byard, they're going to keep Henry, they're going to keep Tannehill as is, not mess with anybody's contract. What can they offer him and still be comfortable that they can do everything they want under the cap? That's got to determine what you can offer him too.
And I think the fact that they brought him in for a visit shows me that
they have something.
They have a number.
They have something.
They have a number. And it may be different than DeAndre Hopkins' number. And if it is, enjoy New England. 615-737-1025. Right to your phones coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Sarah wants a yard. My own little paradise. Brad, however, hates yard work.
The only thing I hate more than cutting the grass is paying someone to cut the grass.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Sarah and Brad found a great home with a yard. A very, very small yard.
Time to get it done. And I'm done.
Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Everyone is loving what Genesis Diamonds is doing right now with the lowest interest rates on the planet. Right now, get 0% interest for 5 years on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori, A Jaffe, or Veragio ring with a GIA certified diamond for only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay $0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years. Even the sales tax. Don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds included. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
In football, we all take our hits, but protection keeps you in the game. That's why I always wear my helmet and pads on the field. Life, too, comes with risk. So I got vaccinated for COVID-19. Hi, this is former Tennessee Titans 3-time Pro Bowl defensive end Javon Kearse. Talk to your doctor and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family against COVID-19.
For more information, go to nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
When we talk about tenure at Cromwell Media, the owner of this station, we're not kidding around. This month, we're celebrating 6 teammates who have a combined 85 years of service to our company and our community. They are Rosemary Walters, 26 years, Cindy Marino, 21 years, Lakin King, 14 years, Ace Swartz, 13 years, and Chase McCabe, 11 years. If you'd like to experience what it's like to work for a great company, shoot us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Breaking down D-Hop's visit with the Tennessee Titans. He got to Nashville on Sunday evening. I believe he's still here. And now he is scheduled for a visit with the New England Patriots. Let's get your thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins' visit to the Tennessee Titans, what you think the Titans should be or could be or really should be willing to put forward for DeAndre Hopkins. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joel texts in. It says D-Hop on the field could open up more opportunities for Burks, Chig, Phillips, etc. And I think that's kind of the silent contributions that we don't see a whole lot. Like with Derrick Henry, for example. Even when they don't run the ball, if Derrick Henry's on the field, defenses have to pay attention to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, defenses have to pay attention to Henry. But again, if that was indeed the case, then the Titans will have 1,000-yard receivers running around, the yard. Everybody would be having a field day in the passing game if indeed that was true. Now, we assume it can be true at times, but just because you have Derrick Henry it's not going to make your passing game the best in the league. We've seen it. They've had Derrick Henry for the last 7 years, and this team, from a passing standpoint, they've been okay. But they haven't been the passing game. We haven't seen the passing game that we would love to see that other teams display that don't have a Derrick Henry. So, again, you bring in D-Hop. If he was on this team, I would love it. But, we got to understand, you got to look at him for what he is now and not expect what D-Hop used to be. And, you got other guys there I believe that are ready to show you. Chris Moore, you brought him in, you signed him to a contract. I think he's ready to now take another step. What that next step will be, I don't know if it's going to be 1,000 yards. If he gets 900 yards, then isn't that what you expected somewhere around the ballpark with D-Hop?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're getting that with Chris, and you're not even paying him nearly the amount of money that you would probably end up paying D-Hop. And you're getting a younger version, and you're getting a guy that's going to be with your team more than just a year. D-Hop it's going to be a year deal. And two, I would want to start the clock on my new receiving core like right now. Like, listen, if we get into the playoffs with this receiving core, great. But I need to see what I have now headed into next season. And the question was brought up, well, if you bring D-Hop, doesn't it take away opportunities from everybody, guys that are you trying to figure out? Yes, it does. And when he leaves, then y'all are going to be still trying to figure out, well, can these guys play? Because now the opportunities they would have gotten, they're not getting anymore.
But didn't you say he would get 4 targets a game?
He will get 4 targets a game, but you got to factor in everything. It's not just his targets. It's how the offense is how do you put together your game plan for the week? It may be taking away a play or two for another guy that can get you better results. Yes, D-Hop is going to get you a first down, but that guy, Chris Moore, Racey McMath, Kyle Phillips, they probably would have got you 17 yards because they're a little bit faster. They're younger. They can get down the field. That's what I'm talking about. You're taking opportunities when you start bringing in these guys again, I can see if Ryan Tannehill was young, Derrick Henry was young, this team was sort of geared toward like we're a young team, we're headed up. Then you bring a D-Hop, a little bit older guy.
But if it's just a one-year deal, why does it matter?
Because you're taking opportunities. Because these guys are Racey McMath. This is probably his sort of contract year in a sense. What was he, a 4th-round pick, 5th-round pick, somewhere around there? He's been on the team, 2 years now? This will be going into his 3rd year.
Uh-huh.
So you got to find out what you have in these guys. You got to find out how can Kyle Phillips help us? How does Chris Moore, who we just brought in, we brought him in for a reason, how does he then help us? You haven't even given these guys an opportunity to prove that they can help you. That's why the Titans were not so gung-ho to just jump in the free agency market with receivers. Just so happened D-Hop came available. They wouldn't have traded for him. He came available. Their thing was, we're going to ride with the guys that we have. We're going to give them an opportunity. It's best we give them an opportunity now while the older guys are getting older and we're starting to become a young team. So if we're starting to become a young team, these young guys show that they can play with these older guys. That's good for us because now we got our nucleus, we got our core in the receiving room. We don't have to go out and get a 1st-round pick, or we don't have to go out and make a big splash in the receiver room with the free agent. These guys have proven that they can play with an older quarterback. So now we're all going to grow together. Traylon Burks, Kyle Phillips, Chigakonkwo, whoever the quarterback, whether it's Will Levis or somebody else, we all get to grow together. This offensive line, pretty much young. We all get to go together. You want to sacrifice potentially 1 year with D-Hop to try, instead of trying to find out what you have in these young kids that can play.
But I think to a certain extent, I mean, like, none of them are really, and I'm talking about the receivers, are playing for contracts. I mean, at this point, Traylon Burks, whether there's D-Hop there or not, you know that Traylon Burks is going to be your number 1 wide receiver moving into the future. Racey McMath, I think they're starting to see the writing on the wall. I mean, Mike Vrabel even said, let's just start with him being a special teams player, and then we'll see if he can grow into a bigger role than that. I think they're encouraged by what they've seen from Chigakonkwo. Again, those Chig, Kyle Phillips, and Traylon Burks is only their 2nd year in the league. It's not like they need to go out there and catch every single ball that's being thrown by Ryan Tannehill. I think they know what they have in those guys. They're encouraged by what they've seen in those guys, but they want to win as many games as they possibly can this year, and they recognize that those guys are young and aren't quite there yet. And if they want to prove themselves, they can still prove themselves, no matter who's on the field.
I'm telling you from experience, it's hard to do it.
And I know you've been there,
because
D-Mase.
when you have older guys in front of you, They may not be better than you, but they have the name. So what do you have to do? You got to sit back and hope something happened. You know, they had in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had a good receiving core here. But no, they wanted, Yancey and Carl Pickens and bringing some of these other veteran guys when all along they had KD, myself, they had drafted Drew a little more. Drew was a free agent, but Justin, they had drafted Justin McCarron. Come to find out, oh, hell, that's a damn good receiver group. Why? Because they gave them an opportunity to play. They gave them an opportunity to make plays as the quarterback was still young. That offense was still young. And what happened? We all grew together. That's what this offense can do. They can grow together. These guys just need legit. I'm not talking about Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
Yeah.
He's had I know what he is. He can get better. I believe he can get better. But I'm talking about the guys that hasn't gotten the true opportunities. Racey McMath, Kyle Phillips, Chris Moore, who he got some opportunity in Houston, and he was able to make do on it. And they brought him here on a contract. Allow these guys to show you what they can do. You've seen glimpses of them. You want them on your team. You kept them here. Allow them, let them go out there and play. See what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Just to circle back on how we sort of got started on this, the rankings from Football Outsiders, basically, without going through all of them and one by one, they basically have Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and DeAndre Hopkins in the same group of receivers in terms of efficiency last year. And actually, the lowest rating of all of them is Hopkins. And so it is, what are you getting with DeAndre Hopkins? How confident are you at his age, this stage of his career, based on what he's been through? How much can he bounce back? Because if you're paying decent money for that, that's a bad buy, right? If he is what he was last year, that is not worth $8-9 million, not anywhere close to it. I don't care if he's the greatest guy in the locker room. That kind of production is not good bang for your buck. You've got to be very confident that there will be a bounce back to something quite a bit better than that. And look, Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, they weren't ranked very high either. They're in the 60s, right? That's not anything to write home about. Traylon Burks was in the 60s last year, okay? He's got to get way, way better for this to be a passing offense that you're looking to get. The difference is you're not paying these other guys anything, right? Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, they wouldn't even announce what he's making when they said that he was coming back. They didn't release that.
It's
Chris
enough.
Moore was a bargain basement who was out there.
1 year, less than $1 million.
Right, and that's okay. That's okay.
Because that's
the
what
expectations are maybe we hit on one of these guys, right? But DeAndre Hopkins, you sign him, you're expecting a major bounce back, and you're going to pay for that. But his production was not that different at all from those other guys in terms of efficiency.
Which is one metric to look at it.
Several metrics.
But when I look at it, I mean, you look at yards, you look at receptions, and I know around 66% of receptions versus targets. It's not elite. It's not. But I look at what DeAndre Hopkins was able to do in only 9 games, which was more than any other Titans receiver was able to do last year. That alone tells me that he's going to help. And I don't think he's going to be D-Hop of 2018, but he's going to help. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get right back into your phones on this coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Also, be the first person to answer Willy's trivia question correctly, and you will win a pair of tickets to see Nashville Symphony's Black Panther this Friday at the Schermerhorn Symphony Center.
Yes, a great place to watch a concert, by the way. Fantastic. You've never been there. And if you love these movies, the superhero movies, which I'm a sucker for sure, you'll know this question, and you'll maybe, for the first time, go see our Symphony Center, which is fantastic, right downtown. Black Panther, this Friday. Hey, if you've seen the movie, you know the kingdom where the Black Panther is from. What is the kingdom's name? You be the first to get that right, 615-737-1025, and you'll be going to see Black Panther with the Symphony coming up on Friday. 615-737-1025. Don't text the answer. You don't win. You got to call.
Good luck.
when it comes to Nashville sports.
Locking up Jeffrey Simmons, clearly that was a priority for them.
He knows his stuff.
A little bit good, a little bit bad.
And knows how to push the right buttons.
He's coming off an ACL tear, and he's 25 years old, so you cannot ignore that.
Join Outkick's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company. Withrow.
What I hate more than anything is people that are phony and not true to themselves.
Is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Father's Day is here. Save big on last-minute gifts for Dad at Electronic Express. Don't miss a TCL 55-inch 4K TV for just $269 or an LG laundry pair for only $549 each. Get gifts for Dad with huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Get a SkyTech gaming computer for $899 or a Traeger Pro Series grill for only $499. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's no refuting that he's an addition that would be a huge plus for your group, to say the least. I think, like Jim, he's out shopping for a deal. He doesn't have one yet. You would have thought everyone knew he was going to come free. Everyone was getting ready, and whatever his asking price is, a lot of guys have backed down off it. They're not willing to go there, which does open the door for teams that I don't think he would have considered. I think he was looking at Buffalo and Kansas City. Well, remains to be seen. If they're smart, they're going, let's just wait and see what the market is before we throw money at this thing, kind of like Baltimore did with OBJ. So doesn't mean you're going to lose him, but I don't think that's what his plan is. I think his plan has always been to go to an elite team with a major all-pro quarterback and he can catch himself 100 passes.
That was Pat Kerwin of SiriusXM NFL Radio on DeAndre Hopkins, his visits with the Tennessee Titans, also visiting the New England Patriots. And Pat Kerwin says, hey, DeAndre Hopkins wanted to catch passes from an elite quarterback, which, D-Mase, you've been there. Of course you do.
Of course,
Of course you want to catch passes from an elite quarterback. But where the market is right now, you got two teams that have put their interest in, and it's two teams that don't have elite quarterbacks. It's two teams with solid management, but don't have elite quarterbacks. Mac Jones and Ryan Tannehill, I would say, are middle of the road, plain bagels. And I think that does kind of dictate a little bit of the money that each individual team is willing to put forth, because we kind of kicked this around at the break. I don't think New England is willing to break the bank for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think whatever figure they have in mind for D-Hop is going to blow him away.
No, I don't think it either. I don't think, anything is going to – I don't think what teams are going to offer him is going to blow him away. Like, oh, I got to take this deal. But I think he's going to possibly realize that, again, it goes back to what you think you're worth and what the market actually tells you what you're worth. I've said on the side, I can't say, well, he's not worth it, because – many said OBJ wasn't worth what he got, but somebody was willing to pay it. It just depends on what situation you're in, where you think your team is at, how much you feel this person can help you get to that, achieve, that goal that you have as a team, and then you pay him accordingly. So, the Titans may look at him as, you're another piece that can help us win. But and that may equate to, I don't know, lower than what he expected. It may be much lower than what he expected, but then he has to go back and reevaluate it and say, okay, this is what the market is saying about me. Now, who those teams that show interest, do I go back to those teams? What do I do as a player? Because, again, the market will tell you, will humble you and tell you, hey, listen, yeah, you may think you're still the number one guy, but we're telling you otherwise. You're not a number one guy.
And a lot of people have spent their budget a lot to this at this point in the offseason, right? For example, if you could wind the clock back and the Ravens would be choosing to offer the money to OBJ or DeAndre Hopkins, maybe that changes the equation.
Yeah, but I think they still offer the money. I think they would still give it to OBJ for this reason. OBJ is a little bit younger.
They're close. They're pretty close.
OBJ, there's not this thing about OBJ of not wanting to practice or anything else surrounding him. He's just been the knees for him, the injuries. And, to me, OBJ, when he's fully healthy, he's a top 10 receiver. When he's fully healthy, the kid can flat out play. Yeah, when he's healthy and doesn't have to worry, and that's like a big if. But when he's healthy, there's not too many receivers better than him. Honestly, I've seen there's not too many people better than that guy.
When we take the air tomorrow, do we think we have answers on this, or are we spending the whole show on this tomorrow too as we wait?
Well, at least we'll
him to make the
know
decision.
Whether he's in New England or not.
Well, Bill Belichick doesn't know, though.
Bill Belichick does not know. I did ask that question on Friday. Would we get information on Monday? I thought we'd have a whole lot more than Bill Belichick saying, I don't know. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman & Company is up next.
Be loved and love on somebody.